From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is a severe weather alert.
All right, it's currently 12:11 in the morning. Fred Gossage along with Taylor Plott in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. We have our first warning of the overnight. This is a severe thunderstorm warning here in our viewing area. It only includes the northwest corner of Lewis County in Tennessee, but outside of that, it does include western Hickman County and central areas of Perry County, Tennessee. That is a severe thunderstorm warning until 1 o'clock. It's for the storm back here near the Decaturville, Perryville, and Parsons area. The potential for damaging straight line winds of 60 miles an hour, quarter-size hail as it moves off to the east at about 40 miles an hour. Now, it's going to be a little bit before it gets over into northern areas of Lewis County. We're mainly talking north of Hohenwald here near the Kimmons area and the Salem area, but we have seen some broad rotation with it in the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, and we can't really get a good low-level scan because of how far this is away from most of the radars here. And it looks like we have another severe thunderstorm warning that goes into parts of Hardin County and Tennessee. We'll look at that in just a moment. But yeah, things are starting to ramp up a little bit here. Now, since the storms are a little bit away from both counties, we're not going to stay here nonstop. We're going to give the information and then go back and then come back when the storms get closer. But your rotation is back near the Decaturville area. It's still broadened in the mid-levels a little bit. It is trying to tighten, so if it continues that, we could possibly see a tornado warning in here, but this is mainly going to be the northwestern part of Lewis County, central parts of Perry County, western Hickman County. Taylor, let's do a track ahead of the body of the storm, east at 40 miles an hour. And we'll talk about some times of arrival here. Now, first off in Perry County.
I'm going to expand that out just a little bit.
Now, Perry County is not officially in the viewing area, but it's going to get there first before it does go over into Lewis County. Perryville is moving into your area now. Hopewell, 1216. Pope, 1219. Spring Creek, 1220. Linden, 1232. Beardstown at 1237. All right, and we're probably going to get a tornado warning on this side of the state line, so we may, the county lines here, so we may be staying here for a little bit at this point. We'll get the Hardin County warning in just a moment while that storm is back near Decaturville, but that's a new tornado warning for Decatur County, Tennessee. Pleasantville, 1244. Hornertown, 1253. The Coble area, 1253. Then Hohenwald, 1256. Or just north of there in the Kimmons area in Salem at 1257. Again, not just damaging winds and large hail, but we are probably going to have to get a tornado warning here before long, since National Weather Service in Memphis has upgraded that back in Decatur County. They may wait a little longer for it to get closer. The National Weather Service in Nashville might, but they're likely going to be pulling the trigger soon with that couplet holds together. Now, we have another thunderstorm back here into portions of Chester County, Tennessee. That's prompted a new severe thunderstorm warning that includes northwestern parts of Hardin County, Tennessee in our viewing area. Let me get the information on that because that is a brand new warning.
That looks like it's got a little bit of a hell core with it as well.
Yeah.
Getting some of those black pixels in there.
Yep, quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds with that one. That's moving off to the east at 40 as well. This warning goes until 1 o'clock for northern areas of McNairy County, a large part of Chester County, southwestern, southern Henderson County, and northwestern areas of Hardin County. And Hardin County is the county in our viewing area where we have severe thunderstorm warning. So here are times of arrival: Montezuma, Tennessee, 1217. Hickory Corners at 1218. The Fanger, Tennessee area, 1225. Sweet Lips, Tennessee at 1231. The Cabo area, 1236. Pleasant Hill, 1238. Leapwood, 1238. Enville, Tennessee, 1239. Mount Zion, 1241. Milledgeville, 1244. Morris Chapel coming in at 1246. Lebanon, 1250. Sardis, 1251. Cedar Grove, 1254. And Saltillo, Tennessee, in the northern part of Hardin County, time of arrival, if this holds together, coming in at 1257. Quarter-size hail, damaging straight-line winds of 60 miles an hour possible with that. We're waiting to see what the National Weather Service in Nashville is going to do.
That one over here is also starting to hook around as well.
I see that. And there's a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere. Helicity values are sky high. Now, once you start getting into Middle Tennessee and North Alabama, they start running out of the better instability, but instability is not zero. So these things might hold together into some of our viewing area counties, and there is definitely enough wind shear to create tornado problems. And initially, we were kind of questionable that these things would flare up, but they are starting to flare up now as the upper level storm system gets a little bit closer. There's a little more lift in the atmosphere now than there was during the evening hours. So these things may hold together and they may be more of a tornado problem that we'll be having to watch very carefully. I haven't heard anything new from the National Weather Service concerning upgrading to a tornado warning for Perry or Lewis or Hickman. We're going to wait a few more minutes for that. And then if they don't do that in about another 5 minutes, then we'll take a quick recess and go back. And then we'll come back if new warnings are issued. But there's been this rotation back on the backside, back near the Decaturville area, that would be coming generally toward places like Horner, the Linden area, and then Pleasantville, and the north side of Hohenwald, Kimmons, and the Salem area, and the Etna area, if it holds together over the next 30 to 45 minutes or so. And again, northwestern areas of Lewis County are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Now, while we don't have a tornado warning in the viewing area, let's look at the bigger picture and look what's upstream. And in addition to these little supercell thunderstorms now developing in Tennessee, the main line of thunderstorms is back in the northeastern areas of Arkansas and now getting into northwestern Tennessee. All of this will be moving southeastward across southern Middle Tennessee and North Alabama between now and about 6 or 7 in the morning. And there could be additional severe thunderstorm warnings, and there could be a couple of tornado warnings along the way. I think the better chance of there being tornado warnings the next few hours will be with these individual storms out ahead of the main line, but it won't be a completely zero threat with the main line either. But the main line, that would be gusty straight line winds is the higher threat, in addition to some lightning and some heavy rainfall. We'll take a look at the tornado watch here, and then Taylor, I'll let you take it for just a second.
All right.
Talk about anything you need to talk about. Look at the watch and warning map here while we're here and we're waiting to see what happens with the tornado warnings and such. The dark red counties you have here, and this is the western 2/3 of our viewing area now. Taylor, you can right click that box right there and clear it off, please, sir.
Yep, sorry. There you go.
We have Murray, Lewis, Hardin, Wayne, Lawrence, Giles counties in Tennessee, Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin counties in Alabama, Tishomingo County in Mississippi, and then back northwest. This is a tornado watch until 5 o'clock in the morning. There is the potential that this could be expanded either as a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch in the next couple of hours as storms get closer into the rest of the viewing area over North Alabama and Middle Tennessee. That remains to be seen. It's going to depend on what the storms do upstream. And Taylor, we've been watching this for a while to see how things are going to trend for the overnight. And it looks like these little supercells are going to try to misbehave out ahead of this main line here.
Yeah, it definitely does. And, that was something that you mentioned that we were watching for, and it was kind of up in the air a little bit to see if we're actually going to get these cells to develop in the environment that we have. Obviously, we've had a cap in place, especially across western Tennessee, where they had the PDS tornado watch earlier, and that held a lid over things for a lot longer than what was previously anticipated. Well, now that lid's starting to kind of come off. What's up?
New tornado warning for Lewis County.
All right, so there we go. So then we're going to see that polygon pop up.
Yeah, I'll let you take that on radar since you're
Yep,
doing what
one
you're doing
second.
right now.
And while we're waiting for that polygon to get on there, and there it is, we are having people ask about Summertown and south into northern Alabama. Obviously, as you see, these are nowhere near Summertown or Killen right now, but those storms could eventually get into your area once we get towards the overnight hours. Well, we are in the overnight, later in the overnight hours. But there's your new polygon, and I figured that they would go a little bit southward because obviously where the hook would be trending towards, and so this does get into the city of Hohenwald, Sweetwater, a very big chunk of Lewis County.
Yeah, so we're going to be here at least until 1 o'clock. If the rotation doesn't hold together, they may let this down step to a severe thunderstorm warning. But for now, there's a brand new tornado warning in our viewing area that includes central and western Lewis County, Tennessee until 1 o'clock. That also includes southwestern areas of Hickman County and the central parts of Perry County here, southern and central. A new tornado warning that runs until 1 o'clock. It's for a rotation back here near the Decaturville, Tennessee area that's moving off to the east. Now they got it at about 30 miles an hour, so it's moving a little bit slower. That's going to be crossing Tennessee Highway 13 here, just to the east of Horner here over the next 15 minutes or so. It looks like the main rotation is going to be between Flatwoods and Linden in Perry County. Again, Perry County's not in the viewing area, but we're going to be here because Lewis County's included in the warning as well. And then the rotation is going to be riding Highway 412, and this may get close to Hohenwald or just north of there if it doesn't make more of a right turn. So those of you from Sweetwater, I would say as far south as the Providence area, Hohenwald, Salem, Kimmins, you need to be going through your tornado safety plan. And since you have several minutes, if you live in these areas and you're in a mobile home, now's the time to leave and go to a sturdy structure, something like a gas station, a 24-hour restaurant, maybe a hotel nearby, something like that. I know these are smaller towns in here, but occasionally you get something like a 24/7 gas station, something like that. Most all places will let you in if there is a tornado warning. But if you're in a mobile home here in Lewis County, this is the time to go to shelter. Again, Sweetwater near the Providence area, Hohenwald, Salem, Kimmins. Otherwise, if you're in a site-built home, go to a small interior room, such as a bathroom, a hallway, or a closet. On the lowest floor of the home, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Cover your head and neck from flying debris. And you don't need to stay in mobile homes. You don't need to stay in vehicles, but you have time to get out of your mobile homes if you're in Lewis County. Now, as of now, Taylor, and you haven't seen any signs of this either, I don't have any confirmation of a tornado down. We haven't seen debris or anything like that. And honestly, that is a broad rotation, but it has tried to tighten up here. So we'll...
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, let's flip back and see.
Let me circle this. I think it's kind of just a bit of like maybe a hail spike or something.
Yeah.
But let me double check this. I think that's noise. It's in a suspicious spot, but I think that's. Let me step back just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's noise, but we'll watch it.
Yeah, for it to just all of a sudden be there and then you don't have a really strong couplet with it. I agree.
Especially with that being about 6,000 to 7,000 feet, that you would want to. There would be a better couplet if that was a TDS. Yeah,
you would definitely want your greens to be right here and your bright reds to be right here for something that's right there. So, yeah, that wasn't debris. That was noise like you were talking about. But we're going to have to watch that very carefully as that comes into Perry County and eventually toward Lewis County. So, again, this is a tornado warning for central and southern Perry County, western and central areas of Lewis County, Tennessee, southwestern areas of Hickman County till 1 o'clock. I think the main danger is going to be south of Hickman County, but from Etna to the Hornertown area, Pleasantville, southward in the county, be in shelter here. And then definitely the central and southern parts of Perry County. And then the county that's in our viewing area officially, Lewis County, Providence, Sweetwater, Hohenwald, Kimmins, and the Salem areas, definitely be in your place of safety right now.
Do we have the Bath, is it Bath Springs? Do we have that camera in our system?
I'm pretty sure we don't, with it being outside of the viewing area.
Okay.
We should be able to look west with Hohenwald, though.
Okay. Let me see if I can get the Hohenwald camera up. We're getting reports through our chats that they have a wall cloud on that camera.
Okay.
Let me get the Hohenwald Sky came up here on Lynx 3. And let me see where that is pointed at. That is the wrong internet tab. Taylor, click on the right one. There we go. I will say, while we get do have a little bit of time, I did see a comment, someone down in the Ashland community just across the county line there into Wayne County. I would watch this, but obviously you're not under a warning, so I wouldn't necessarily say that you need to take your tornado precautions right now. But if you do live in the Ashland community, even Providence as well, I would I would just watch this carefully. I wouldn't think that you would need to go to your tornado shelter.
Yeah, it would have
as
to make a
now.
right turn southeast for you to be in danger there in the Ashland area.
Ashland and Napier as those two areas just outside of the polygon. I would watch this just in case it dives to the southeast. So on Lynx 3, I'll flip you over to Lynx 3 real quick.
Okay.
This is going to be Hohenwald, and this is pointed, I believe, let me see where the little icon is. I don't know if I see the icon on it.
Are there presets listed there?
Yeah, I'm about to flip to it. So this needs to be looking west.
Yep.
All right, so there we go. All right, there's a lightning strike. So this is pointed to the west.
Okay.
So we should maybe get a better look at it. I think that
I can see the striations when you get the power flashes.
Yeah.
I can see striations in this area here. So we know the updraft is rotating. And then on that Bath Springs camera behind the scenes, I have seen the broad wall cloud as well.
really good lightning with this as well. So obviously we'll watch for any power outages. That blue light, that's the airport down there, right?
It should
That's
be.
off of 412.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Looking due west, the airport's over there. So that little, for folks who are seeing that little bit of a flashing light right there in the middle of the screen, that's the airport.
Yeah, and here's the thing to tell. If you just repeatedly at a set interval, every so many seconds, and it doesn't change and it's in the same spot, that's a background light. That's what the environment. So 73 with a dew point of 65 here, and look at the winds backed a little bit because these are live updating conditions. So definitely we have the wind shear. We also have the favorable environment for this to try to ramp up here. So we'll need to watch that very carefully. Now it's still back into western areas of Perry County. We're not talking about this being into Lewis County yet, but it's headed in that general direction. We know it's a rotating updraft here. So far, have not seen anything coming out of the wall cloud, but we'll have to watch that very carefully. You're not going to see a whole lot continuously here because you need the lightning to backlight it. You don't just need a lightning strike, you need lightning to be behind whatever feature you have in order to see it at night, and we just don't have that too often here. But we do know basically that the updraft itself is rotating. Unfortunately, we don't have a low-level radar slice to know if the rotation's tight in the lower levels here, but we'll watch that very carefully.
Yep.
While that is still in western areas of Perry County, and we have a little more time, let's jump south for just a moment on radar and let's look at our other warning storm.
I will show you this real quick.
Okay.
It has started to, let me get links to. It has started to tighten up just a little bit.
Okay.
But it's also getting back into, where's my cursor at? It's also kind of getting back into the storm. It's right here on 412, just east of Pope.
Okay.
When you look at that and then look at the velocity, it's
Yeah.
kind of back in it. So it might try to occlude a little bit. I don't
Right.
know, but that's just something I noticed.
Okay. Yeah, and I would agree with that. That was my thought before I even got a chance to say it. I'm in agreement there that if it's tucking itself back into the storm, it may try to occlude here soon.
There
All
is
right.
that little bit of a hook southeast of Decaturville, though, so it could try to cycle.
Yeah. All right, so let's look at our other thunderstorm for just a moment. Big old cluster of mess here. I would look out for the potential for gusty winds and hail as it comes over into northwestern parts of Hardin County over the next 15 to 20 minutes. It's going to be north of downtown Savannah, but that is coming toward places like Morris Chapel over to the Saltillo area. And until 1 o'clock, there is a severe thunderstorm warning for this northwest corner of Hardin County. It also goes back into northern areas of McNairy County, central and eastern areas of Chester County, and southern areas of Henderson County. Our county out of that is Hardin County, so that's why we've been focused a little more on the Lewis County situation. But gusty winds of 60 miles an hour and maybe some quarter-size hail, the concern right there with that.
While, again, we have some time, it's that storm that we have the tornado warning on is not in Lewis County yet. Some people obviously asking about, is this going to be coming into Lawrenceburg and Summertown? Unless it dives completely to the southeast, this is going to basically go along Highway 412, I think. It's going to keep going near 412 through Linden, probably close to Hohenwald. And if it continues, it might get into Murray County and get towards Columbia as well. I don't think this dives southeast and take a hard right turn to Summertown and northern Lawrence County. But we'll watch it just in case. I would say for Lawrenceburg and Summertown, the one we'll have to watch for is this one that Fred just mentioned.
Yep.
That's over here towards Henderson, Tennessee. That's going to move across northern Hardin County, northern Wayne County, and eventually get into parts of Lawrence County. So I would keep a close eye on the one in Linden, getting into Lewis County, if it dives a bit to the further southeast than anticipated. But right now, I would think the one that would be getting close to Summertown and maybe even Lawrenceburg would be the one that is to the southwest of that into Henderson, Tennessee. That's going to get into Saltillo, into Clifton, Waynesboro, and probably into northern Lawrence County. And that is probably going to be in, let me see when this time of arrival is, storm velocity. That needs to, well, I don't have a keyboard, so I can't change that. I would say rough estimates probably about 2 hours ish,
Yep.
2 hours
Something
for
like
that. And of course, we'll watch for other development, but that's kind of what I would think for folks who are asking about Summertown and Lawrenceburg with that. And someone was also watching from Decaturville asking if they're okay. The tornado warning part of the storm's east of Decaturville, but you got this other cell coming through that might have some small hail with it, but I don't think you're dealing with a tornado threat right now.
No, it's moved off to your east, it looks like at this point. So again, what we have right now, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for northwestern areas of Hardin County. And then in our viewing area, western parts of Lewis County, Tennessee, that is a tornado warning. Both of the warnings go until 1 o'clock. This is a radar indicated tornado warning because of rotation with the storm that had been back near Decaturville, but now it's moving in the western areas of Perry County, near or just to the south of Highway 412, coming up on the Linden area or just to the south of there. National Weather Service in Nashville notes that it still has a very tall core and strong updraft, and they are still continuing the tornado warning, showing signs of strong rotation. Now, this is us having a tornado warning because of rotation in the mid levels. We don't have a really good way to look at the lower levels here, so we don't know what that lowest 1,000 feet or so in the atmosphere is really doing to know if it's a tight low level rotation or if it's mainly aloft. Some of this is a better safe than sorry type situation. But
our live radar is in range.
Okay.
I just saw Chase's message about it.
okay, so we are just getting in the range here, and we do have some low level rotation back here. Now it does look a little broad, but it's definitely there, and I would definitely say that's enough to support a tornado warning, especially back here just to the southeast of Pope. And Taylor, that's where we were seeing the mid-level circulation wrap up just a moment ago on the next rad. And that would be a little closer to the south side of Linden here. I would say on Highway 13, between Linden and the Sugar Hill area, that's where it's going to cross 13. And then come out here, and it's putting itself a little farther southward. So that's going to put it a little closer to the north side of Hohenwald if it maintains the easterly track here. So the western half of Lewis County, Sweetwater, I will say as far south as Providence, especially on the north side of the Napier area, Hohenwald for sure, up to Kimmins, up to Salem, Etna, Hornertown, and then Pleasantville here. You need to be in your tornado safety place, and that goes for Sugar Hill, Linden, the Horner area, back to the east side of Pope as well. Decatur County, Tennessee, you are no longer in the tornado warning. The storm has moved over completely into Perry County, and that is a tighter looking low-level rotation right there, Taylor, for sure.
Yeah, there definitely is. I will say, going through the chat room on the Facebook feed, there are reports through some other entities that it looks like that there is a funnel cloud that was spotted with this. I don't know if that is now or if that was, a handful of minutes ago. But we saw you saw the wall cloud on that camera and the striations on the home wall cam. I wouldn't be shocked if that's actually the case. That there could be a funnel cloud with this, and that is a pretty tight circulation. Again, this is from our live X-band here in Lawrenceburg, and it's just now into the range. You see where it cuts off right there. It's just now getting into the range, and that is a pretty well-defined low-level rotation just to the southeast of Pope. I'll flip on the reflectivity to see if there's actually a good hook with this, and that's kind of... You
kind of get a hint that it's right there, that may be a bounded weak echo region right there, because you're cutting off the scan range right there, so...
And there was definitely a cell that was kind of had a little bit of a merger going on. So I wouldn't be shocked if that is kind of where that hook is located.
Right. So definitely we do have a decent little low-level rotation back here on the southwest and west side of Linton. And again, it looks even better on this scan here. Definitely tightening up here to the south of Highway 412. Again, this is still in Perry County, but this is headed toward Lewis County. We can do a storm track since we have a low-level circulation. Let's just carry it east. Let's go ahead and still say 40. And then we'll expand it out 45 to 60 minutes. Linden, time of arrival, 1245. Sugar Hill, Tennessee, 1247. Pleasantville, 1258. Sweetwater, 103. Hornertown, 106. Hohenwald, 109. Kimmons, 110. Etna, 113. Salem, 116, excuse me. The Napier and Naco area at 118, although I think it's going to be north of there. And then Gordonsburg, Tennessee coming in at 119. Again, we do have a tightening low-level rotation here. Now that we are seeing it, we're in range on our X-band radar. So this western half of Lewis County and then central areas of Perry County, you need to be going through your tornado safety plans. Again, that's a small interior room such as a bathroom, hallway, closet, lowest floor near the center, away from windows. And Taylor, let's look at correlation and see if we have anything, because that's brightening up
Now,
right
I just
there.
noticed that. That's in a weird spot.
Okay.
That's going to be, let me, here. With it being back in that kind of back area, I'm going to think that this is noise, but let me see.
That makes me suspicious.
Let me back it up. I think that's noise.
Go back one. Right there. And then let's go to velocity.
That's right there.
See, it lines up where it's supposed to.
It does.
Let's look at reflectivity now.
Let me go. Where was it? Right there.
Okay.
That's
Reflectivity not quite high enough.
Yep.
Because what it is, reflectivity is the amount of energy that is bounced back to the radar after you send the electronic beam out with the radar and it hits raindrops and hailstones and things like that. The more energy that's returned back to the radar, the brighter those colors are. Well, if there's debris in the air, something solid, it's going to return more energy than raindrops will. You're going to see a red there, something like that, and it just didn't correlate. So that was not debris. It looked suspicious for a minute, but not debris.
And I do think that there was probably a rotation that was back there. I do think we need to look more towards that Highway 13 corridor, right in that area.
Horner and Sugar Hill in these areas. Yeah, it
right
looks like
there
we
where your
have
finger's
something
at.
organizing right here. That's just west of 13, so south side of Linden, down to Horner and Sugar Hill. It looks like that's where we may be cycling and reorganizing a low-level rotation. Yeah, because Taylor, now it's a lot weaker
It's
looking
messier.
back here.
Yeah, that looks a lot messier. I think we had one that was probably one of the original updrafts, and now we're starting to get it to cycle. So Horner, Sugar Hill, this area probably needs to be watched.
And I would
watched closer.
I would say, unfortunately, that's going to put it closer to the Hohenwald proper as well.
Yeah. Let me flip you over to the Hohenwald cam. That's still looking due west. And while you do that, I'm going to look at the next rad again. I know we're still kind of in between, but I wanted to kind of get a lay of the land with how other things look. Yeah, that one, according to the next rad, that one that we saw kind of on the back edge, that was the original one that's now lifted north of Linden. So that's going to be the old circulation, and the new one's going to be right here closer to Highway 13, south of Linden. Still got a little bit of a hook on the one that's near Finger, and we'll be getting into parts of northwestern Hardin County, but the rotation on it is relatively weak. Still having that rotation being shown on the next rad in Perry County. But it doesn't look as impressive as it was before. But I think
good deal.
I think it's probably cycling.
Yeah.
But another thing, just so people are aware, obviously, when we start if we end up getting more and more warnings as we go on, just another quick note, I've said this before. I'll keep saying it. If we aren't talking about you, that's a good thing. Doesn't mean we're ignoring you. It just means that there's nothing happening in your area that's of concern. So if we go throughout the night and we have more and more warnings to deal with, just know we aren't. We're still watching you in Lawrenceburg, still watching you in Pulaski, still watching you in Florence and the Shoals and everything. But if we aren't talking about you, that's a good thing. That means that nothing's happening right now. You don't need to be concerned. If we are talking about you, you need to listen up. And there's some rough weather coming your way. So I know we'll get a lot more questions and comments. If we get more and more warnings, I can't get to those questions and comments. So that's kind of why we say, if we aren't talking about you, have nothing to worry about right now.
Yep, because we have to focus on where the weather is dangerous and where you have the warnings, that's where the weather is dangerous. When we have tornado warnings and severe thunderstorm warnings, yes, we will try to zoom out the radar and show regional views from time to time, but we can't focus on that when we have a tornado warning on the board and severe thunderstorm warnings on the board. We have to focus where the danger is instead of just telling you, hey, it's not raining outside. That's not why we're here. We're here to track dangerous storms for the people that are in danger. So that's how that's going to work this morning and every other time we do severe coverage. And Taylor, that is organizing again for sure.
And this is from OHX, by the way. So this does have a better look at it now.
Yeah, so you definitely have an organized rotation here on the south side of Linden. Now, what else this supports is, since we're looking higher up here and we have strong wind shear, that supports where the X-band shows it in the lower levels southwest of there because the tilt with height of the thunderstorms. So in the lower levels, this is probably coming a little close to the north side of Horner and north side of Sugar Hill. And then if you carry that out, that looks like that's a little more toward the north side of Hohenwald, if not near Hohenwald itself. But as far north as Kimmins, as far north as Salem, the Gordonsburg area, be in your safe place. And again, that's a small interior room, bathroom, hallway, closet, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. You still have time to get out of mobile homes, head to like a 24-hour gas station, but you're running out of time as the storm gets closer. You don't need to be in a mobile home. You don't need to stay in a vehicle as the storms approach.
Yeah, and if you are in a mobile home and you're in Sweetwater, if you're in the Hohenwald area, Kimmins, you got time. You've got, let me do a quick storm track here, just with the body of the storm moving about 40-ish miles an hour. So Hohenwald at 106. So you've got time if you're able to, like Fred said, go to a convenience store or something. If you have a neighbor that has a site-built structure, or a storm shelter nearby that's open, you got time. 106 is the arrival time for Hohenwald. So you have 10 to 15 minutes to be able to get out and do that. Same thing for Kimmins. Sweetwater, I know you're just kind of south of there. You're not in the fan, but you still got about 10 to 15 minutes before that starts knocking on your door. So you have time to get out of a mobile home. Now, I will say this: if there is a tornado down with this, it's not going to be overly strong, I don't think. I don't think we're dealing with the EF2, EF3 type of tornado, but still...
At the moment, at least, anyway.
At the moment, at least. That's a good point. At the moment, at least, it would. If we are dealing with one, it's probably EF0 to EF1. That does damage, but we're not talking about a big-time significant tornado as of right now. So if you are in a site-built structure and everything, you will be just fine riding out something like that. So that's just a heads up. Hohenwald, Sweetwater, even if it holds together, Gordonsburg, Salem, you have time. You have about 10 to 15 minutes. Get out of a mobile home, go to a site-built structure if you can. You got time to do it.
Yeah. And, we said not now, at least, about a stronger tornado. We're not saying there's the likelihood of a stronger tornado here, but when you're talking about a supercell thunderstorm off by itself on a night like tonight, it makes that threat a little higher than zero, that it could end up being a stronger tornado. The atmosphere is not as favorable for that as it was to the west earlier this evening, but the threat for that, especially from an individual storm like that, not completely zero. So we will have to watch that very, very carefully. Black Taylor talked about if there is a tornado down at the moment, probably the shorter-lived, smaller ones, but a tornado is a tornado, EF0, EF5, and everything in between. You still need to be going through your tornado safety places regardless of that. And we have Kelly the Rosson in the house with us now. Kelly, so I'll let you get caught up. We won't use Links 1 for the little bit. If you want to just build your morning forecast and such while Taylor's still here, then that's cool. And we'll do the tornado coverage here for a little bit before we swap out.
Sounds good.
And I will say that that initial, when I looked at the reflectivity, by the way, that what is on top of Linden right now looks like that was the initial supercell at still rotating. It still has that hook in it. But when you go towards the Horner area, it looks like there's that other one that started to develop just to the south of it, that new updraft.
Yeah.
So that's why you still have those kind of, get the velocity back on her, those two little areas right there, one on top of Linden, one on top of Horner.
Yep.
So while we still could have something in Linden, if you give it time, obviously that southern one usually is going to end up be the one that tries to take over.
Yep.
So I do think, obviously, we need to watch both of them, but that one in Linden looks like it's the one that is the initial supercell, and then the new updraft is trying to go near Horner.
And that's really going to increase the threat for area. Honestly, if that's going to try to tighten up down there, then we're really going to have to be concerned about areas along and south of Highway 412 in Lewis County as well. Places closer to Sweetwater, places closer to Providence, places closer to the Napier area. Now, with the low level velocity here, it's in between Sugar Hill and Linden, but we will have to watch a little farther south to see if that tries to organize. That may be a mid-level rotation that has it bore down, because if you look at the structure, there's your curl right there with the southern one. So that, like you said, Taylor, that may try to become dominant over the next several minutes.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean it will. It definitely could. That's just kind of going off of how things usually go. Anytime you have a storm south of a storm, that southern one gets the best energy and moisture and instability fed into it, and the northern one gets cut off from it. That doesn't mean that the northern one can't continue to produce something. It still can. We've had that multiple times in the past, but it's just over time, 20, 30, 40 minutes down the road, usually the northern one starts to weaken and die off, and the southern one starts to take over. So yeah, that's something we'll definitely watch for. But right now, at least from the X-Band's perspective, that's a pretty tight rotation on top of 13 just south of Linden.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see, while we have it here still just west of the viewing area, let's quickly look at our Hardin County storm and see what's going on down to the southwest.
I'll flip back over to Memphis.
Yeah.
It definitely looks elongated.
Yeah, it doesn't look nearly as organized as it was. Maybe some hail and gusty winds coming into places like Morris Chapel, Lebanon, the Saltillo area, but I would not be surprised if they let this severe thunderstorm warning expire at 1 o'clock instead of carrying it on farther east across northern areas of Hardin County to where places like Saltillo and the Swift areas. They may let that one fall off the board at 1 o'clock there.
And there's still some hail with it, but yeah, that definitely doesn't look as impressive as it was earlier.
Which is certainly good news. Maybe these things won't hold together too long, and especially if they start tracking over the same areas, that may increase the flooding threat some, but it would stabilize the atmosphere and work down the damaging wind and tornado threat some.
And another thing would be is you get those initial cells that are going on right now. Once we get that line in here, maybe that's going to eat up too much instability, and the line would really start to weaken out, and it would get that we talked about earlier in the week and even today, where the chance of that line start to kind of become outflow dominant. If it runs into less instability, it can really become outflow dominant and start to weaken considerably. But we got a long way to go.
But that was what the model data for it tonight coming in was showing for the overnight too.
Exactly, it was still showing that. But obviously with these supercellers developing out ahead of it, that might throw in a little bit of wild card. So who knows? We'll just have to watch it.
I will say that based on the model data tonight, the models that were weakening that line coming in were developing these storms more robustly out ahead of them here, closer to 1 o'clock. And that appears to be what's happening now. So maybe we can get that line back there, the main line, to weaken as it comes in. But we have a long ways to go, like you said. We have bigger fish to fry in the more immediate term, including a tornado warning here in parts of the viewing area. Haven't seen anything new come across the wire from the National Weather Service in Nashville or Memphis with this. Haven't heard of any damage reports come in or anything like that. Haven't seen anything else suspicious.
And looking at the velocity there's still rotation areas, but that's pretty messy. And I'm wondering if you do have this is right here when I circle this. This is a legit rotation. That's that initial updraft.
Yeah.
This down here is a legit rotation, but this stuff right here in the middle, I think there's just a lot of. I think there's a lot of competing going on. There's multiple updrafts going. So I'm wondering if, obviously, that still has a tornado potential with it, but I'm not seeing everything that I see kind of with this and then with the velocity data is there's just a lot of stuff going on, and it's no longer just one supercell out by
Right.
itself. It's got a lot of competition going on, which is good because that's going to help limit a big-time tornado potential with it,
And
at
that's
least right
exactly
now.
what we want is for a threat to be limited or for a threat to not materialize. We're not going to sit here and cheerlead damage and all that business. We don't play that here. But we're not going to ignore things and, just to try to be cute and play safe, you tell you that there's not a danger when there is a tornado warning. That's foolishness that we don't do either. But like Taylor was talking about, there's a lot of noise in the velocity field here. And like Taylor was talking about, that means that we have competing rotations. And honestly, when you have competing rotations, they start gusting into each other. They interrupt each other. They cut each other off. And again, just like Taylor was talking about, that could significantly limit, at least for the next few minutes, the threat of there getting a tornado down. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't get one if these rotations consolidate, which they can, and then one becomes dominant and takes over. So we'll really have to watch that, especially the closer we get that mesocyclone activity to Lewis County itself, because that gives it a little more time to organize. But I'll say, Taylor, just that overall structure there looks messy and disorganized too.
Yeah, it does. And I will say, I just kind of thought about this where we have a lot of wind shear, a lot of wind shear in the low levels. And we talk about the helicity, it was like, what,
Yeah.
600
Yeah.
or something like that. So for those at home, that's just a way that we can gauge how fast these updrafts are going to be able to rotate, how much shear is going to be available for them to ingest and spin. And the higher the number, the better these updrafts can rotate and the stronger tornado potential can go with it. But one of the things that can happen is when you start getting these competing cells, even though we have a lot of wind shear, sometimes it can take things a little longer for them to consolidate and become just one single cell again. So I would probably say it's 12:53. There's a lot of stuff going on with this. I would say if this is going to cycle and try to produce a tornado here relatively soon, I would give it about 10 to 15 minutes. So give it to about 1:15-ish. And if something hadn't tried to kind of get going between then, I think that's a good sign, because that would tell me that all these other storms are probably going to struggle the same way, even though we have an environment that's very conductive for at least low-end tornado potential right now.
Yep. And anytime you have, honestly, even in really super favorable environments, anytime you have messy structure like that, it's really hard to get something going because things just run into each other. They play bumper cars and they compete with each other. So we'll see. I think it would be on over into Lewis County if something could go. And we are going to have the Hardin County warning off the board at 1 o'clock.
Okay,
They are going to
good.
let it expire.
Yeah, they're too. If this was still out on its own, it's going to be able to cycle pretty quickly. But the fact that it's got a lot of stuff going and competing with it, if it's going to cycle and consolidate and become just a dominant supercell, it's gonna be some time before it does that.
And it's going to take a little while, but it will be likely that circulation right there, and that's going to be near and south of Highway 412 coming into Lewis County. So Hohenwald, the Gordonsburg area, north side of Naco and Napier, over to Providence and Sweetwater. That's the area we're really going to have to watch, since this has tried to set itself a little southward into southeastern Perry County. It's going to be nearer just south of Hohenwald because of that restructuring there. But like we mentioned a minute ago, we're about to lose that Hardin County warning. Storms weakening a bit. They're going to let that expire. Still some small hail and gusty winds, but this is about to be the only warning we have on the board is the Lewis County, Perry County, Hickman County tornado warning. Strong thunderstorms with lightning, heavy rainfall, and 30, 40 mile per hour winds as far south as the Clifton, and the Ashland and the Topsy and the Flatwoods areas now, but northern Wayne County, these storms are not severe. They're just loud at the moment. The severe weather is up in the Perry County and approaching Lewis County at this time.
I'm going to flip you over to the home wall camera because there's
right.
still a lot of lightning, and we are going to start to be able to probably see a wall cloud if there is one back there. Again, there's a lot of stuff going on with this storm, but if there is a wall cloud, that would tell me that, hey, there's still some organization with this in the low levels, and it could produce a tornado at any moment. So that's something we'll watch for. I might need to, let's see, that's due west. I might need to...
West, southwest, or
Yeah,
southwest,
just turn
like
it
that.
a little bit to the west-southwest.
They are going to let the tornado warning expire at 1 o'clock. They are replacing it with a severe thunderstorm warning that will include portions of Hickman, Lewis, Murray, and Perry counties. Now, that severe thunderstorm warning is going to go until 1:45.
All right, so this is pointed kind of west-southwest-ish.
Okay.
So this would be looking back in that kind of hook area. God, that's just a lot of lightning.
I'm going to let you keep talking for just a minute. I'll be right back.
Yeah, let me look and turn that lightning counter on if I can see where it's at. There it is. So in the frame that I have on the radar, I'll flip over radar just real quick. In this frame, there's 385 strikes in the past 15 minutes. But as you can see from the home wall camera, it is just nonstop lightning going on here. So even though we're still watching to see if maybe there's going to end up being another attempt at a circulation, again, with everything going on, when you have one updraft, that was the initial storm that became a supercell. It started to rotate and everything like that. It got tight, wall cloud. There was a report of a funnel cloud with it. That's just one single storm. That was a heck of a lightning strike right there on the camera. But when you start getting all these other updrafts going up, that starts to, like what Fred was talking about, we were talking about earlier, they start having to compete with each other. And when they compete with each other, that helps the tornado threat go down. It doesn't make it go up. It actually makes it go down with all the competition going on. But at some point, with the shear in the atmosphere, one of those updrafts could eventually just take over, become the dominant one, and then we have one single supercell that is going to be the one that could be causing issues later. But right now we don't have that. It is still just a mess. And Fred, these lightning strikes with this camera is just incredible. There's about 400 strikes in this radar frame right here within the past 15 minutes. It's nonstop. You can see a little bit of a base, but I don't see anything that looks like it's a wall cloud right now. But definitely a lot of lightning, definitely a lot of thunder. Wouldn't be shocked if there's some power outages that are going to be coming up on the board here for the home walled area.
Yeah, and with us not having one consolidated rotation, it really makes sense that we're not seeing a well-identified wall cloud, and it's just an overall lowered cloud base area back here. Yeah, Taylor, that's a lot of lightning. So even if you don't see damaging winds or a tornado, that lightning and thunder is really going to wake you up here coming into Lewis County over the next several minutes. If you've not already been awakened as it is, that's nearly continuous lightning.
Yeah. And there's just like, that's probably, at least this year, we're looking at sky cams and everything. This is probably the most electrical storm that we've seen this year on one of our sky cams. This is literally continuous.
Yeah, honestly, in terms of it, with it being on a severe weather day, I think you have to go back to the April and May storms of last year before you see an actual severe storm with this much lightning here. So, because the stuff we had that came through, March, with the Bonnertown tornado and such, mid-March, there was some lightning, not quite nearly as nonstop for a long duration, quite like this. And then December and such, when we had, this is some pretty intense lightning here.
My goodness. Those CG, the cloudy
That's a strobe light show for sure.
That's definitely. I'm going to flip you over to the radar real quick, look at velocity, and that is definitely starting to broad out. You do have areas of some stronger winds, but that's definitely less rotation. So I see why they allowed the tornado warning to drop off the board,
Yeah.
which it has because we've hit 1 o'clock now. So we just have that severe thunderstorm polygon. I'm seeing some people comment like what we said earlier. Yes, if we aren't talking about you, that's a good thing. So if we're talking about Hohenwald, you need to hunker down. You should have been there already. And I would still say just stay in your safe spot. If you've taken your tornado shelter, just let the storm ride out the storm, and let it go by, because there's a chance that there could be some damaging winds with it, and a lot of lightning. So there could, there's just a lot of stuff going on with the storm right now. So if you did take shelter, I would just hang tight, let this storm pass, and then you'll be good to go until, as you see back towards the back, we start to have this other line that will be moving on through. And that's actually catching up with it. So
Yep.
it's not going to be too long before that main line starts to get on in here.
And this is playing out like the models finally caught on to reality at the 0Z runs, the 23Z her and the 0Z her. The run that came out at 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock, they finally caught on to reality, and this is how they started playing things out. So that gives me a lot more confidence now.
Yeah.
Because the model runs that were showing this happening, and this is happening in real time, they were catching on to reality from the early evening as well. So I think we're finally having the models have a good handle on how this is going to evolve. And so we're really going to have to watch these storms over the next hour or two, but that line is going to be catching up with it. It will be moving into more rain-cooled air. And eventually, I do think this is going to roll over into a heavy rain threat, but we are not there yet, especially since we still have these individual storms running out ahead of that main line. And Taylor, if we can zoom back in there and look
Yep.
at velocity again, I'll show you what you were talking about. It's a lot different than what it looked like even just 10 minutes ago, because you still have your little pockets of circulation, but they're not nearly as organized looking. And you're using storm relative velocity
Yeah.
to where we're accounting for the storm motion here, to where you're more likely to see a red right up against the green. You don't see that nearly as organized as what it looked like just 10 minutes ago. So those rotations have gotten disrupted, have gotten disorganized, and honestly, they weakened a good bit as well.
Yeah, and I'll actually pop on shear rate here, because when we go back a little bit, let's see.
You had a couple spots in there that were getting red on that thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which times they were, but yeah, there were some pockets. Yeah, right there as it got in towards Linden where it started getting brighter, and now you fast forward and it's just completely falling
Yeah.
apart. We're still in range of our live radar, by the way, so let
Okay.
me, just for safe sake, yeah, there's nothing there.
No,
There's
that's
nothing there.
extremely noisy. So that gives me confidence. And honestly, I don't see a really strong high wind signature either. So
Yeah.
we'll watch that over the next few minutes.
And taking a look at the cells off to the west there towards Clifton. Little bit of some rotation just southwest of Clifton, but it's not tight. But there's some good wind energy with it. And then this little buddy right here just across the Ashland area. Look. There's not much there. So I think that at least in the near term, there's definitely no imminent tornado risk.
Yeah.
Even one that that we would see possibly starting to try to spin up. I don't see anything that's starting to try to spin up.
Now, there's maybe, if we go to the Waynesboro camera, there's maybe a lowering very broad with some scud. Taylor, you should be able to do that with the
Oh,
interactive.
yeah.
It's all set for you.
forgot
That'll
that you
actually
have
give
it
the
over
current
here.
wind gust and such.
Here we go.
These wind gusts on these camera shots will be within the last hour, by the way. So still a temperature of 79. Now, I know the dew point's not 77. So there's
Talk about a juicy atmosphere with that.
yeah, there's an error with the sensor, maybe closer to 67 or something like that. South wind at 11, gust of 72 here. There has been a broad lowering back here with
yeah.
some scud hanging out of it, but very broad. Doesn't look like an actual wall cloud or anything like that, but you do have a lowered base and some scud hanging out of that for sure.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Just kind of right there towards that center area. Where is this? Does this have? No, it doesn't have the little arrow where it's
That is
pointed.
on the, okay, so we're already on the west side of town. And when Chris Palmgren was looking at it a minute ago, almost due north. He did a screenshot in Discord, and it did have the compass at the top,
All right.
almost due north, and they haven't moved it since.
Let me take a
They
look.
moved it maybe a little bit to the west, so I think we're looking northwest now.
So this is going to be up in here. Let me just take a look real
Yeah,
quick.
so it's right around here, so we're looking back up into that.
And
So
there
we're
is-
looking
there
at
is
that
a
broad
little,
area there.
There's a little bit, but that's not. That looks more gusty as opposed
Yeah.
to something that's trying to spin up.
Yep.
I can see why there would be that little bit of a. Well, not Lawrenceburg. I can see why there would be that little bit of a lowering back here in the back.
Yeah, and it could be more of a shelf cloud there, and we just can't see it really well.
Right. But still, even though over here, just a lot of lightning, all of these storms tonight are going to be electrical. They're not; these aren't going to be the quiet ones that come through and might have a quick spin up tornado with almost no lightning with
Yeah.
it. There's going to be there's going to be a lot of lightning with all these storms. And I will say, kind of looking at that has when it gets back into view, that does have a little bit of a bell shape with it. So that could be a little bit of a wall cloud that is trying to get going.
And it's staying consistent in the same area, so that may be a bit of a wall cloud right there.
Yeah. I want one more strike around it because, yeah, that's starting to kind of be. That's more consolidated. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's more consolidated in
Yeah.
one area.
Now, wall cloud doesn't automatically mean tornado, but it does mean a rotating updraft, so we'll have to watch it. But wall cloud does not automatically mean tornado. But if you are going to have that ramp up and you are going to get a tornado, that would be the area you watch. So we'll watch that very carefully here. But it's a broad rotation as of the last time we checked it. The last time we checked it just a moment ago.
One thing I told my sister one time is, wall clouds are like a prerequisite for a course. If you're going to take if the storm's going to take tornado 102, you have to take wall cloud 101.
Yep.
So this is a prerequisite if there were going to be a possible tornado with this. So
Now, there is no warning for Wayne County. Not a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning. I honestly don't think there needs to be at this time. The storm's not quite that strong, but it's one that we're going to have to watch. So we can come off of that now. And I don't see it trying to organize any further on the camera. We can go back to the radar and look at the Lewis
and
County.
Chase did say that this is it is in this little notch that you see there between Beech Creek and Leatherwood.
Okay.
So that is the area that is starting to try to rotate a bit.
Okay.
And you can actually see it right here on 228. There is a little bit of that spot right
you definitely
there.
have a broad rotation there for sure.
So that would coincide with where that wall cloud would be. So yeah, I would think that that's definitely what that is.
So while we're weak and broad right now, we'll go back and look at Lewis County and see how things are behaving there. And you can see the overall storm here. Let's look at NextRad so we can get cleaner velocity and structure. And we'll go back to the X-band and see low-level structure. Still looking messy with the structure. Not seeing any organized mesocyclones here. Maybe some gusty winds just generally coming through Lewis County. So I would still be inside away from windows in case you have tree limbs coming down. You may have some power outages because of either tree limbs or lightning. But I'm not seeing any tornadic rotation at this time. We are seeing broad mid-level rotation back into northern Wayne County. Not enough for tornado warning, but you see pockets of broad rotation there in the NextRad beam, and that correlates with what we've seen on Skycam and what we've seen there on the X-band radar. So we are going to have to watch that carefully. I think the Lewis County storm is starting to get below severe limits. It's the right thing to do to go ahead and let that severe thunderstorm warning ride for Lewis into western Murray County just a little longer. And we are talking about from Enterprise and Sandy Hook up through Mount Pleasant to the Hampshire area up to near Santa Fe and the Arkland areas. Yeah, just west of Santa Fe, the Arkland area, back through Hampshire, Mount Pleasant, Enterprise, and the Ethra area. That is your severe thunderstorm warning in the western Murray. It goes to 145. But honestly, I think that thunderstorm, in terms of a damaging wind threat, likely stepping below severe limits at this time.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And it's funny how, we were talking about give this storm some time. If it were to reorganize, and we're getting closer, I think I said 115. If it was going to do it, it would probably do it within that window. But the flip side is, if it can't do it, it's going to end up doing what it is, which is it just gets so messy. It gets a lot of just junk, and it just falls apart, basically.
Yep, we gave it time, and it said no thanks. So
I'm fine with that.
Yep, definitely. That's where we are. So we'll watch that, but the structure is degrading. It's not getting stronger. And then we'll watch the northern Wayne County storm, but that's not severe. That's just a heavy thunderstorm with some really broad rotation that we'll have to watch. And you see cylinders back to the west. That's upper level rotation as well. That's not a tornado concern at this time. So we have some storms we're watching, but I do think we are stepping these under severe limits. We're going to hold it here for a few more minutes to make sure the storm in northern Wayne County is not going to try to ramp up, because I don't want to go away from the live stream and then we have to cut right back in with a warning. So we're going to hold it here for a few more minutes, but we'll give it, I say 10 minutes or so. And if it doesn't ramp up tighter, we don't get warnings, things like that, then we'll step away from live coverage and just watch things behind the scenes.
There's two spots. We're kind of getting into a situation where it's more of a line segment with some embedded rotations. You can get what we call just supercell features within a line segment, kind of embedded supercells. So I circled two areas off of the Nashville NextRad. There's two areas of rotation. That one that's near Ashland and Flatwood, so on the very northern side of Wayne County. And then the other one, that's the one that we were watching with the wall cloud trying to get going on the Waynesboro camera. That's the one that's back towards Clifton and Leatherwood. So there are two areas of rotation in the mid and upper levels, according to the Nashville NextRad. Now, in our radar, that still shows some rotation, but it's not overly tight in the low levels right now.
And that jobs with the screen captures that Chris just posted in the chat, where, you can see what we looked at, the little wall cloud, but it's tucked back behind the shelf cloud and rain-cooled air. So.
Yeah, it's kind of there's a little bit of outflow that has kicked out just ahead of the storm. So these are rotating, but like Fred said, if they're behind the shelf cloud, that means that the storm itself has kind of kicked out a little bit of an outflow boundary. The outflow boundary is probably not very far ahead of the storms, but they're just enough ahead of the storms where the wall cloud sits, it's not getting the warm, moist air. It's not getting that 72 degree with 67 dew point moist air getting pulled into it. It's getting 60 degree temperatures and probably 57 or 58 degree dew point, if you will, just cooler air. And that won't help the cause if the storm's trying to become tornadic, which is good news for us. But there's still rotation we're watching for. But as long as it's back behind a shelf cloud, it's going to be almost nearly impossible for it to produce a tornado.
Yeah, so it's 1:13 now. Let's go ahead and plan to hold it here until 1:30 just to watch and see what happens. And then by 1:30, if we're not ramping up, we'll go ahead and step back away from the live stream and watch things behind the scenes, because I do think we're significantly losing intensity with our Lewis County storm, and I don't think they're going to continue warnings there. And then the other storms are upstream a little ways, and that's definitely outflow dominant right there. You can see the outflow boundary itself. Yeah, clear as day. Stevie Wonder can see that thing. That's your outflow there racing out ahead of the thunderstorms. So if we don't see new thunderstorms develop out on the leading edge of that, this will slowly weaken as it approaches, and it would mainly be these storms that we have moving into the northwestern counties now that we would really have to watch. And even back here in the Arkansas, outflow rushing out ahead of those tornado warning storms back there northwest of Memphis. So definitely a good sign, at least in the short term.
Exactly. One of the things I was actually going to mention is, you see the storm that's over here just between Jackson and Henderson. The thing we'll have to watch for is what's happening back here into northern Arkansas, where you see this cell that's interacting with the boundary, the outflow boundary, that where there's not a lot of spin, but there is a little bit. That is something that we would have to watch for, not only with this line itself, but if that outflow starts to get interacting with these cells that are out ahead of it. That could increase the spin and could potentially produce.
And another outflow boundary there.
It probably is. You see those other little cells back here towards Whiteville. So if it actually adjusted the color palette. There we go. Yeah, that's something. If we have those cells that would interact with an outflow boundary, that would give it a little bit more spin, and you could produce a very quick spin up. I think that outside of the stuff going on here, Fred, that might be the only thing that we're going to have to watch for now, is just anything that tries to interact with outflow boundaries.
So we will do that, and we will hold it here until 1:30. Give things time to see if they're going to ramp up.
While we do that, let me take a look and see if there's some questions. I haven't had the feed up in a bit, so let me go back to our page, go to our live feed. Whitney likes how you said Stevie Wonder. That's a good one. So since I just logged on to it,
and if you believe some of these YouTube internet conspiracies, he might actually would have seen it. But anyway,
possibly. People asking, can we go to bed in Hohenwald? Give it just a little bit of time. Once this gets through, if you have a NOAA weather radio or a weather app, that will alert you based on your location. You can go to bed. That stuff that's coming in from the northwest, if a warning is reissued for Lewis County, it will alert you. You'll wake up. Unless you're Stevie Wonder, you probably would be able to hear the weather alert from the NOAA weather radio. Like I've said earlier, I can sleep so deep. A storm can go across my house and I would not even notice it. But if my weather alarm goes off, my NOAA weather radio next to me, I'm going to be able to hear it, and it's going to wake me up in a heartbeat. So if you have that and you're in Hohenwald, let this pass, stay sheltered in, just kind of get away from windows, a lot of lightning. There could be some limbs that get tossed into a window if it gets gusty enough. Let this pass. You can go to bed if you have ways to get warnings in case that line moves through afterwards. People asking about Killen, northern Alabama. All right, there's nothing going on.
And I have an update on that. National Weather Service in Huntsville has canceled the tornado watch for Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin because the severe threat is trending later. And I think, just reading between the lines, they probably think since it's trending later for there, may not hold together by the time it gets there.
And I would definitely agree with that. And that was one of the things. The reason they issued that was because those cells in northern Mississippi looked like, hey, they might end up doing something, and they didn't. And then the cells well north of it actually ended up doing something, what we're tracking right now. So I like that. I agree with it. And, yeah, I think by the time the cells, all that line gets into northern Alabama, there's a better odds that it's probably going to be outflow dominant, and we're not looking at severe weather or really a tornado potential with that.
Yeah, and now that they canceled, they just sent the message where they're explaining the reasoning a little more. They said, hey, y'all, moments away from canceling the tornado watch early, which they just did for Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin. The next line is approaching slowly from the west, looking around 5 a.m. at the earliest for northwest Alabama, which is right when this current tornado watch expires. Our environment right now would not support tornado warnings, but we'll see how much it could destabilize, change between now and then when the storms get there. So for Lauderdale, Colbert, Franklin, they are removing those counties from the tornado watch because the storms are going to take longer. Looks like they won't be getting there until probably 4 or 5 o'clock. And honestly, if things keep going the way they are now, they probably would not have a tornado threat any longer by the time they get there. So we'll be watching that through the next few hours. Still severe thunderstorm warning for Lewis County and western Murray County. And then for southern Middle Tennessee here in red in North Mississippi till 5 a.m. we still have that tornado watch on the board at this time.
Let me reiterate this. People are asking, can I go to bed? Can I go to bed? Can I go to bed? Here's my advice. If you have ways to get warnings, that means your phone can alert you. Now, most phones, unless you turn it off, most phones will automatically alert you with the WIA, the weather alert stuff. That is what makes the weather. That's what the Weather Service sends out. That triggers your NOAA weather radio. It will also trigger your phone. Most people already have that, unless you turn it off. But I will go ahead and tell you, if you have a weather app that alerts you, our weather app, if you have a NOAA weather radio, your phone's charged, it's good to go to bed. You can go to bed. That will alert you, that will wake you up in case a warning is issued for your area. If for some reason you're just like, I don't want to have a NOAA weather radio, I don't want to have my phone alert me, I for whatever reason, then I would suggest you stay up and watch this. But I can tell you, you have the opportunity to go to bed. If you really need to go to bed, you can. Just make sure you have alerts and everything like that. If you're a weather enthusiast like me, like Kelly, that's sitting behind me, or like Fred, you're going to be up watching this regardless. But if you need to go to bed, if you have ways to get warning, go to bed. If you're in Pulaski, go to bed. If you're in Lawrenceburg, go to bed. Anywhere in our area, you can go to bed.
Yep, just make sure you have reliable ways of hearing warnings that can wake you out of your sleep, and go ahead and get your rest, because I know you're going to have to work later this morning, that type of thing. And we're humans. The weather gets in the way, but we still have biological needs of sleep and such. So severe thunderstorm warning continuing. Let's see if they're saying anything about it. Crickets.
Crickets is good.
Yep. So they're not saying anything about the storms ramping up here. The latest I heard from them, they were saying the storm is not quite as strong as they were earlier. Let's go to storm relative velocity and check on our little pockets of rotation, see what things look like. And there is a broad shear axis in here where we have pockets of rotation. We have one out here to the northeast of the Ashland and Topsy areas, near the Providence area, and not far from Sweetwater, right here on the Wayne and the Lewis County line. It looks a bit broad, but we'll have to watch it. We have another one back here to the south of Flatwoods and east of Clifton. That will be coming toward places like Ashland and Topsy, but none of these are especially tight for a tornado warning. Let's go to the X-Bands live velocity and see what we have.
It's the shear axis, same thing.
Yeah, that's all it is, just the shear axis. You might get some gusty winds, but honestly, I bet a lot of that, I bet you may be starting to get a low-level outflow with that too. So
This is a pretty tight reflectivity gradient. So I would think that maybe, unless like it is ahead or behind the outflow, but with that tight reflectivity gradient, there's probably some good wind that's
especially
getting into
back closer
Sweetwater.
to Ashland and Topsy and such.
Yeah.
Up in the Sweetwater. And that'll come into Providence. Now notice, we're below severe limits here by a little bit, and especially back south into the darker green, we're below severe. So we'll see. We're going to hold it here till 1:30 and see what happens with this. I will say that, honestly, that's starting to get more parallel to the upper level flow as well. So that may be less favorable to get the gusty winds to come on out to the surface too.
Yeah.
And even just looking on our sky cam in Waynesboro, it's just, I mean, there's some scud cloud, but even what it looked like before, that's not even a visible feature anymore. It's just, it looks like it's more wind dominant than anything else.
And give it a little time for it to update. There it goes. Yeah, I see what you mean. There's just a lot of scud, just kind of messy looking clouds.
A lot of lightning, though.
But yeah, still a lot of lightning. Getting some hail in Hohenwald. People asking, is it going to hit Leoma? All this stuff. Everybody's going to see at least some type of rain or storm activity tonight. Leoma is probably going to be with that second line, because all this stuff ahead of it is going to be moving north of you. So Leoma is probably going to be, 124? I would say probably closer to 3,
4
o'clock, something like that. But like what Fred mentioned, and kind of like what the Weather Service in Huntsville did, because they canceled the tornado watches, they honestly think that by the time that line gets here, it's probably not going to be doing too much. So you're still going to hear thunder. You're still going to see lightning. You're still going to hear the heavy rainfall in your house or wherever you're at. You're still going to get those three things. You're going to get some gusty winds with it, but those gusty winds are probably going to be about 30 to maybe 40 miles per hour, and then you might get something that gets close to 60. But I really think that the severe weather threat, as we continue to go through the evening, continues to go down, especially with this other line that will move through, because these storms out ahead of it, they're eating up all the instability.
Yep.
Eating it all up. And once that other line gets here, which has already kicked out the outflow boundary, it's not going to have much help because it's going to run into more rain-cooled air.
Yep.
That's going to even weaken it more.
Now, we'll put 30 to 40 miles per hour into perspective. That is not severe criteria. That's as little as half of severe criteria. But with it happening in places like Lewis County, in western Murray County, and northern areas of Wayne County, it's happening in the areas that previously had ice storm damage to the trees earlier this year. So it's a little bit easier to snap tree limbs in 30 to 40 miles per hour than it would be, say, down into Limestone County, Alabama, where you didn't really have ice storm damage. So in these counties here that had ice storm damage back earlier in the year, yeah, you can start to see some tree limbs snapped at 30 to 40, where that will be well below severe limits, but you can get some power outages out of that, and you can get some tree limbs down in your yard, and you'll wonder why there aren't severe thunderstorm warnings, but drought-stricken trees, ice storm, weakened trees, things like that. Yeah, you can get some minor damage even from 30 mile per hour winds that were well below severe criteria and wouldn't have warnings. So you can get power outages and things just from all this lightning, this constant lightning here. And you're not going to get a severe thunderstorm warning for lightning because by the definition of what a thunderstorm is, every single thunderstorm has lightning. So the things that make a storm severe and for you to get a warning on it, it has to be one of three things. Either hail to the size of quarters or larger, winds of 58 miles per hour or stronger, or a tornado developing. One of those three things. Those are the only things that make storms severe. The word severe actually has criteria. It's not just a word that gets thrown around. There's official, actual criteria for what that means.
Got an interesting question, and since we do have a little bit of time left,
Okay.
wonder about the those purple arrows, talk about the little skip markers. Basically, what that is just when the radar computer that digests all the information and everything, it takes a look at these features. It takes a look at if there's what we call high DBZ. That's just a fancy word for how heavy the rain is or reflectivity has in the storms. So whenever you see those purples, those blacks, those whites, that's high reflectivity values, high DBZs. The radar computer, the processor and everything, it will see it and flag it, and then it will take a look at where it's been and where it's going, and it kicks out an arrow to say, hey, I can click on one of these. We'll click on the one in Lewis County. So this one says, according to the radar algorithm, hey, that's probably a severe type of storm potentially. It's moving east-northeast at 38. There's its shear potential, its max reflectivity. It gives you all these little nuggets of information, and it talks about, hey, based on what the computer algorithm and everything is seeing with this storm, it thinks this about it, and it's moving in that direction. It can give you a path. There's other arrows that it will kick out. It'll kick out an orange one for shear. It'll kick out a red one for TVS. That means that there's a tight velocity signature back gate-to-gate shear for tornado potential. So that's just kind of the computer saying, hey, here's what I think about this storm and where it's going.
Yep, and I will say that here in Dixie Alley, because these radar algorithms that trigger the pink arrow were mainly done based on 90s and early 2000s technology before we had the level 2 NexRad scans and you could see volumetric stuff, they were designed to detect hail based on just a couple slices of the atmosphere in a product called vertically integrated liquid, the old school way of seeing hail. But by definition of what that product is, it actually removes ice from the equation. Because of things like that, these pink arrows are often overdone compared to reality in terms
Ends up
of
being
the
a lot of the arrows get popped up.
Yeah, the pink ones, honestly, that can trigger on just heavy rainfall rates. So it gives you an idea that the pink ones give you an idea that there's a strong thunderstorm there and heavy rainfall rates, and there may be some hail involved sometimes. And it gives you an idea of where the storm is tracking. If you see the bright red one or if you see the orange one, that's tight wind shear in the lower levels. You need to really pay attention to those. And sometimes these little spinning cylinders give you an idea of low level rotation as well. All right. So this one would be a wind shear skit, a shear storm skit, 69 miles per hour here. Let's look at storm relative velocity and see what's triggering this. And there is a mesocyclone
Yeah.
there in the mid-levels.
I think there might be a little bit of some side lobe. That
Yeah.
looks pretty bright on the
Yeah.
velocity to have something like that. But that,
Yeah, a
that's
lot
something
of
to watch.
it is a little bit just out ahead of the actual storm itself.
Yeah,
so-
you see that with the base velocity. See that kind of bright green
Yep.
that just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, so you can get side lobe contamination. It's a radar artifact. It's kind of a false alarm artifact, pretty much, that can trigger things like this as well. But that was while we were talking about those arrows. That's an idea of that orange one that we have to watch for wind shear. And to confirm that that's not a high rotation situation, we can go to our X band velocity and clear off the storm track and stuff like that. And you can see that
It is starting to kind of wrap around a little bit.
you have your S-shaped signature here, and it is broad, but notice, honestly, you look like by a few miles here, you're separating your inbounds from your outbound, and honestly, that looks like that's probably an outflow boundary, I would say, especially compared to where the storm structure is. Yeah, that's an outflow boundary just out ahead.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a hook with it. So if it were to hook up
could-
with the outflow, that would be, interesting.
And that's
But-
why we're here for a few minutes longer to see what it may do.
Yeah, Chase is saying that is a legit area rotation, but the question, just like you mentioned, Fred, is it going to be hooked up with the outflow or behind
Yeah.
it? Regardless, it's rotating, but if it's hooked with the outflow, that would have a better odds of trying to produce maybe a quick spin up. But that's close.
Yeah, we'll watch it for a few more minutes. I know we said 1:30, but we'll hold it here just a little bit longer and see what happens.
If you want to just pop up the Waynesboro camera just to give a visual to kind of what we're seeing, it still has a pretty good view of what we're looking at as we just kind of see all these little radar features.
What's that pointed at?
And that's I believe that's pointed more north.
If that's right in that area,
But-
that's a lowering.
And that's what I just noticed with this new trend of this new little notch. That's why I wanted to bring it to your attention. That's probably the most defined little something that I've seen here in the last several minutes.
Yeah, that's a good catch, Kelly. I know we got our folks watching us. If Drew or someone is able to tell us where this is pointed.
That's looking due north.
Okay, that's
and the
good.
rotation would be sharp northeast. So you're likely looking at Scud back there.
Okay, let's see if we can swing it around to the northeast.
Yeah, and it's changing its shape a bit now. So
Yeah, I see what you mean. So let me go preset.
now you may have the tower in the way. So what we may want to do is say try Summertown and see if we can look. Yeah, you're going to have tower legs and such in the way.
Yeah, let me.
So I would say Summertown, and they already have it pointed northwest, it looks like. Well, let me see. No. Let me see. All right, for northern. Try Lawrenceburg, because they have it pointed northwest, and you may be able to see something from Lawrenceburg. Because I've seen up in the Wayne County plenty of times with that Lawrenceburg camera. And we see a broad lowering here.
Let me make sure. Where's Lawrenceburg? All right, so that is basically due northwest right there.
Yeah, they have it looking up toward NACO and Napier and such, where we've been watching that rotation. So if there would be something, it would likely be in this area here.
Yeah, let me try to zoom in over here. Because this little thing right here is catching my eye.
And we just got a new warning. Severe
That's
thunderstorm
going to be
warning.
for all of.
It's for this storm right here.
Yeah.
All right, so new severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be, let's see, this is going to run until 2:30 for large part of Lewis County, Tennessee, northern Wayne County, northern Lawrence County, southern Murray County, and northern Giles counties in Tennessee. This does include Waynesboro. It does include Lawrenceburg. It does include Pulaski. It does include Mount Pleasant. Does include Culleoka. It includes Etheridge and the Summertown areas. Here's your big polygon, honestly, and they're going for the potential for damaging straight line winds as this propagates east, and it may start turning a little more east-southeast. We'll see how that goes, but at any point in here, some damaging straight line winds of 60 plus possible. I would say especially that area near the Natchez Trace, the NACO Napier area. And yeah, you can see a wind signature surging across NACO and Napier there. That would be coming out towards Summertown and Alexander Springs here over the next 15 or so minutes.
And I'll keep an eye on that Lawrenceburg camera.
And it may be faster because they have that moving 55 miles an hour now.
Yeah. There's still a lowering with it, but it looks like the way that it looks is kind of in that shelf cloud that makes sense with why this is being pushed out from Napier. When you take a look at the reflectivity, you see that S shape. Now, yes, there is a little bit of rotation back in here, and I see that lowering, but you can see the shelf cloud with it that's coming out ahead of it. So,
I think we're transitioning to damaging straight line winds with this now.
Yeah. So if this were to produce a quick spin up, it's going to be now or never until it gets caught up with the outflow boundary, if it does, because this finger that you see coming out of it right here, that's with that shelf cloud and that outflow boundary.
So especially here over the next several minutes, it's over the NACO Napier area now, the center community, Henryville, Etheridge, Alexander Springs, and the Summertown area, over toward Enterprise, the Sandy Hook area, Mount Pleasant, up toward Bachelder. That's the area most likely to see damaging straight line winds. And then that may start to pick up back toward the Villa area, toward Waynesboro. And if this storm complex starts to shift to the south a little bit, that will increase the threat to Etheridge, increase the threat to Lawrenceburg proper, and also increase the threat to northern Giles County as well. But there are now severe thunderstorm warnings here until 2:30 for southeastern areas of Lewis County, northern Wayne County, northern Lawrence County, Tennessee, northern Giles County, and southern Murray County for the potential for damaging straight line winds over 60 miles an hour, the potential for tree and power line damage and power outages as this comes through. What you guys got?
What you see?
I'm just keeping a close eye on the camera just to see if we see. I mean, it's going to be a little bit tricky to see right now, at least on Nashville's radar, which of course is standing very high up in the air. There's a decent mid-level rotation coming through Napier and northern Lawrence County. So I'm just keeping a very close eye, but we are kind of trying to see through some rainfall as well on our sky cam.
And Chase is also watching this, and that's tightening up.
Yes,
that's a tornado signature.
Yeah, this could get a tornado warning at any minute here into the northwestern and northern areas of Lawrence County. So from the west side of Barneville out here, the center and Henryville communities, back over to Summertown, Alexander Springs, I would go ahead and recommend you go through your tornado safety plans. May not have a tornado down. It may not go all the way to produce one, but it could try to do that at any minute. And with the line of thunderstorms, you can have that happen at a moment's notice before a tornado warning can get issued. So here, the northern parts of Lawrence County in Tennessee, far southwestern areas of Murray County is a course of least regret, even though it's a severe thunderstorm warning. I'm going to recommend you go ahead and go through your tornado safety plans. A small interior room, such as a bathroom, hallway, or closet near the center of the building, away from windows. The worst thing I'm going to do, waste your time for 15 minutes early this morning, but that could be a tightening rotation trying to produce a tornado there in the far northern parts of Lawrence County, north of Center and Henryville out here, moving toward the Summertown area at 50 to 55 miles an hour. Summertown time of arrival for the rotation, 146 to 148. Alexander Springs, 154. Sandy Hook, 156. Jonestown, 159. Enterprise, 201. Big Creek, Tennessee, 207. And Campbellsville, 208. Again, not a tornado warning, but we could be having a small tornado develop here anytime as this rotation tries to tighten up. Now, it may broaden out on the very next scan, but for right now, it's tried to tighten up And because we have so much wind shear in the atmosphere, things can happen very quickly. So just as a course of least regret, just for safety's sake, just play it safe and be inside away from windows here until the storm passes. Small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows.
We're just letting NWS know what we're seeing on our radar so that they can have eyes on it as well. So far, I'm still not seeing anything visually on our Lawrenceburg camera. Again, it's going to be a little bit tricky. We've zoomed that out. We're still following the storm with that, but keeping a close eye on it. Again, like Fred said, it's going to be one of those that's kind of a quick spin up. So we're going to be watching as close as we can. But like he said, if you're in northern Lawrence County, be taking your tornado precautions.
Say that again.
Change your update interval 1 minute.
The lapse increment?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so National Weather Service, they reply to you saying they're watching that as well. And you can see a little twisting action in the reflectivity here as well. So from the Barnesville area back over to Summertown, that's where I would be most concerned, as far north as Sandy Hook, as far south as the Alexander Springs area. But even outside of there, all the way down to the center area, Deerfield, Ovilla, Waynesboro, down through Etheridge, Lawrenceburg, New Prospect, the Pleasant Valley area, over to Jonestown, Campbellsville, the Big Creek, Gibsonville area, Sandy Hook, Enterprise, down to Pulaski as the complex moves through, damaging straight line winds of 60 plus miles per hour possible. But that is a tight little rotation near the Barnesville area out here. North of Henryville, you have Tennessee Highway 240 here from Henryville up to Summertown. You have Tennessee Highway 20 that runs up out of Summertown to the Hohenwald area. This one becoming very close to Summertown here over the next few minutes. That could be a developing tornado, and if it continues to tighten, might have to get a tornado warning on this. So we'll be watching that very carefully.
I think this is going to get very close to where Summertown Metals is located.
Yep.
And for folks who know where that tornado path went, that looks like it's trying to take that same kind of general vicinity. This might be more of an easterly track towards the kind of town center, if you will, of Summertown, as opposed to going north of that. But that's going to be awful close to where that tornado tracked.
Yep.
And that is that's a pretty tight rotation. And it's in that line break too, right here.
Yeah, and once this gets out here toward 43, you're talking very close to the Dollar General there. You have the split with 20, and then Schaefer's Barbecue, Schaefer's Farms down there. That could be headed in that direction with a potentially developing tornado as well. Yep. So, again, no tornado warning, but going to have to watch that very carefully to see if that tries to tighten up here over the next minute or so.
I think they just
There we go. New tornado warning just issued. Got a new tornado warning for northern parts of Lawrence County, southeast Lewis County, southern Murray County.
Power flashes on the camera.
Which one?
Lawrenceburg. Let me flip over to it. If you want to relay that to the Weather Service.
Yeah, and they're seeing multiple radar angles showing more strengthening of this. Mm-hmm. So that's why they're going to go ahead and do a tornado warning at this time. This is coming into Summertown over the next couple minutes. Go ahead and be going through your tornado safety plan now.
There's a power flash back in there. I saw the blue flash, so that is on the ground.
Where?
Yeah, that's there's a tornado back in there. I saw a blue power flash. So Summertown, you need to be in your tornado shelter right now. This is heading right into the heart of Summertown.
Yeah, we're looking back up toward the west side of Summertown with the camera bin.
This is going to be going into Summertown, right where the highway kind of splits on the western side of Summertown. You take 20 that goes up to Lewisburg, and you take the other one that goes down towards Henryville, going right up into that area, right into Summertown, right into that very northern part of Lawrence County. So if you're up towards Highway 43, even into southern Murray County and the northeastern part of Lawrence County, you need to be in tornado shelter right now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go to radar for just a moment since it's hard to see anything. Let's do a storm track on the rotation, get some times of arrival here. And thankfully, storms are still north of the X-band, so we can get a clear shot. They've been going 50 plus miles
50
per
plus
hour
now?
now.
Okay,
Yeah, when
hang
they
on.
did the severe, they said 55.
All right.
All right.
That's 55.
So Summertown, it's moving in over the next minute or two. Jonestown 150, Sandy Hook 150, Enterprise 152, Big Creek 156, Gibsonville 157, Broadview 158, Linville 203, Campbell Station and Culleoka 204, Mooresville 208, Bryant Station 210, Cornersville, Tennessee 213. Again, this is a brand new tornado warning for northern and northeastern areas of Lawrence County, Tennessee, northern Giles County, Tennessee, north of Lawrenceburg, north of Pulaski, southern Murray County, south of Mount Pleasant, south of Columbia, in the far southeastern corner of Lewis County. That is a tornado warning until 2:30 for what we've seen power flashes with a rotation moving into Summertown, and that looks like it's very near Summertown proper. So let's check the Summertown cameras and see what we might see.
I'm on it right now.
Okay.
While he does that, this is going right along Highway 20. Basically all of Summertown. You got the high school, ball fields, everything is going right into Summertown and eventually getting to Highway 43 where you have the Quit Mart right there on 43 and Highway 20. Dollar General, the Sonic's right up there as well. This is headed right towards that.
Take Summertown
And
camera.
let me take Summertown's with it. So if you Caldwell, Corbin Street,
Toward the
Race
bottom.
Road, all of those areas, all of Summertown, you need to be in your tornado shelter right now. This is a live view from Summertown. Just wait just a little bit for it to update.
It'll update in just a second. I've got it turned. I'm trying to get my bearings here. Give me just a second.
Summertown, you got it. It's, well, let me
That's
refresh
south.
my
That's right toward the school right there.
Okay.
All right, so that's going to be a good view. You see the rain curtains coming in from the right. So the thing that you'll be watching for are very chained. And our flash is going to be blue. Kind of
And we just lost.
probably now gone out in Summertown.
Next one we can try is possibly Campbellsville. I see it's listed on the HazCams map, and it's already looking west. It may need to be panned a little north, a little to the right from where it is.
All right. I'm getting on Campbellsville.
Yeah, I see the little over there on the right side of the screen. So again, just got power loss, so I imagine power out in Summertown.
So with this over Summertown now, this is going to be headed toward places like Campbellsville, Linville, and the Culleoka area here over the next 10 to 15 minutes or less. So you need to be in your safe place, small interior room, lowest floor near the center, away from windows of a site-built structure. You need to be out of mobile homes and out of vehicles as this approaches.
Oh, right.
I saw something.
Yeah, I did too.
So Campbellsville, we need to point this northwest.
You need to be pointing about due northwest.
That's
Due
where I've got
northwest.
it.
Okay. You can see the shelf cloud with it.
But right behind that shelf cloud, we need a bolt to strike to where we can get a good view in the background of it.
At minimum, I would say damaging straight line winds at the surface are coming across.
Yeah.
And that's at minimum.
Still just a lot of lightning. So again, for those that are just now joining, this is a tornado warning. Tornado seems to be on the ground, possibly still. We saw power flashes in Summertown. This is going right into Summertown right now. I'll take a look at our live radar. There's still a good amount of rotation. It's kind of noisier now, but it's right on top of Summertown. We did lose our camera out there, so I imagine the power is out in Summertown right now. This is going right along Highway 20, close to where the high school is located, Davis Street. This is getting right up to the county line where Highway 20 and Highway 43 intersect. You got the gas station there, the Quip Mart, Sonic right across the street right there as well.
I mean, that's legit rotation.
That's rotation. It's still noisy. I think there's just a lot of stuff that's going on with this storm.
Yeah, your structure is actually now east of Highway 43, and that would be coming up.
It still looks like it's right here, just
Yeah.
east of 43, but we're getting some attenuation.
Yeah.
With the beam.
Yeah.
But there's still some rotation that's back right across the county line. I mean, it's literally a stone toss from Murray County. So this is now passed through Summertown. It's across 43, getting to the very northeastern part of the county. Freedom Road, Anderson Creek Road, Jonestown Road, Old Military Road. That kind of very far northeastern part of the county before you get into Giles and Murray. That is
Go
where
back
this is
in a
headed.
little more so we can get the Old Military. Yep.
Yeah,
that's
Old
the big
Military.
one that's about to cross here in the next minute or two.
Yep, Freedom and Old Military and Anderson Creek. And then when you get across the state line, you got Chapman Road.
County line.
Do what?
County line.
County Line Road? or
Well, just right across
yeah,
the county
right
line.
across
in
the county
Giles.
line in Giles County. Yeah, Chapman, Hodge Road, Workman Road that's up there in Murray County, Elk Ridge Road up there in Murray County. That kind of tri-point, if you will. Very, very far northeastern part of Lawrence County.
I'm looking at the camera from Campbellsville, and I'm having a hard time seeing anything at this point.
Let me look at the new prospect
But
camera.
I will tell you that we have.
We have Linville
I don't
as
know
well.
if it's in there because when we did you may have to pull it up with
On links three?
yeah. When we did the toolbar, it was still down and we didn't know when it was going to come back up. So
I think this is going to be turned. Yeah, this is looking northwest. You're going to see that light that's from the airport that's on the water tower.
It's also going to be a little tricky looking into this storm now because it looks like some pretty heavy precip is wrapping around kind of the south end of this rotation. But we'll see what we can and do our best.
We are getting confirmation power is out up there in Summertown. Also reports that there might have been funnel cloud shown up there or seen up there, which I'm not shocked. Obviously, we saw power flashes, so I imagine there's something that touched down.
And I don't know if you called this out while I was outside of the room for just a moment, but public reporting tree damage in Summertown via EMA, and they're working on photo of that.
Okay, so that looks like we did have a touchdown up there in Summertown. Rotation on the radar, wall cloud. I believe that's what Kelly kind of caught as well. Power flashes and tree damage. That all jives. That there's
Walks
probably
like a duck and it quacks like a duck.
It's probably a duck. So I imagine that there's probably at least a quick tornado that's down. It still could be down, but I will tell you, looking at the velocity, it's messier now. I'm gonna flip back over. Oh, actually, no, we're on links 3.
And we
There
may
we go.
have to transition to next rat at this point because we're about to be attenuated here soon.
Yeah, but I will say, at least from this perspective, it definitely looks a little bit broad.
Yeah. You may see the remnants of it right here, right at the triple point where you have Giles and Murray and Lawrence come together. That may be the remnants of the mesocyclone right there, but it's a lot more messy than it was.
Yeah, it's a lot more messy. You see it, a little bit of that finger right here as well. So there's
Yep.
still that little bit of some rotation going on. Let me flip over to the next strat. I got some people I see that are asking about Columbia, Murray County. This is going to go south of Columbia. It could be on the very southern fringe of Murray County. It looks like if it continues to go the way it is, it might kind of ride that Giles-Murray County line, but probably more Giles County as it looks right now. But south of Mount Pleasant, you're kind of in the warning still. If you're in Mount Pleasant, you're okay. If you're in Columbia, you're okay. This is basically a Colioco, Campbell Station, Enterprise kind of situation on southern Murray County.
Do have reports of several power lines down now in Summertown, utility lines along Highway 20, and that's right where we had the rotation.
So I feel confident in saying we likely had a small tornado down in Summertown earlier.
Now we have reports of structure damage in Summertown, at least a carport a carport still building has been blown down and is now in the middle of the road. We've got trees down across power lines. This is on Highway 20. The aforementioned carport down was on Railroad Bed Pike, which also corresponds right to where you saw it. So.
Yep.
Here's the storm track. This will go out in 30 minutes.
Okay. So for the rotation that we're tracking still, Gibsonville 159, Big Creek 159, Campbell Station 207, Culleoka 208, Linville 208, Mooresville 213, Cornersville 221, and Lewisburg 222. Now there's not a tornado warning yet from Marshall County in Tennessee, but if the rotation tightens back up, they may have to consider a tornado warning for central and southern Marshall County, Tennessee, with the storm having had a history of trees down, power lines down, and structural damage back in the Summertown area a few minutes ago with what looks just like we had a small tornado come right through Summertown.
Go to Campbellsville. Go to Campbellsville. Looking due north now at Campbellsville. Well, northeast. I think I might have. Wait for it to update just a second, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
I see on your monitor the lowering you have.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there it goes. Now it updated.
Is that a rain shaft, or are we? Definitely
You're looking
lower?
back towards the left?
We're looking.
I mean, on the screen, is it? Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, on that kind of left side.
Yeah.
That's where it would. Could be where it would be, kind of that wraparound.
Yeah.
Kind of with the shelf cloud on the left, extending out and then wrapping back around into the mesocyclone.
So especially now into northern Giles and far southern Murray, I would still stay in tornado shelters. I can say that this rotation has now crossed out of Lawrence County, but there are still strong thunderstorms coming through, moving into the Etheridge area, moving into the center area that may drop down to Lawrenceburg soon, that may have some gusty straight line winds, but the tornadic circulation has moved on out of Lawrence County into northern Giles County at this time.
Got some people asking about Lawrenceburg. Lawrenceburg, you're fine right now. Just some gusty winds coming on through. Maybe a pocket here or there that gets up to maybe 60. But the worst of this is what we're tracking right now going into northern Giles County. So it is away from Lawrenceburg. Any tornadic potential right now is away from the city.
It's out of the county now, as a
Yeah,
matter of
now
fact.
it's the county now as well. We still have that back edge. I'm looking at the at our Fast Track live or feed over here. There is a little bit of a hook.
You're getting whatever, I'm about to say, you were getting whatever that is out of view of the camera now.
Let me make sure we're not missing anything over here. Come on, where's my cursor?
Nothing that stands out.
Nothing that stands out, but it's just right back here. Oh, just a little bit, but it's not like what we had earlier. But it's something we'll have to watch.
And then gusty straight line winds coming into the Etheridge area now. And if this continues to sink southeastward, that could get to places like Lawrenceburg, New Prospect, Bodenham, and maybe as far south as Pulaski here over the next 20, 30 minutes or so with some gusty straight line winds.
And we'll still watch that back edge. So Lawrenceburg, yeah, you're technically still under a severe thunderstorm warning. We'll watch that stuff coming in between Ashland and Napier. But any tornadic potential now is going to be over here into Giles County. And even looking at the NexRad, Fred, it had a much better look when it was in Lawrence County and actually did something. And now it doesn't look overly impressive. There's still some rotation, but it doesn't have that look to it.
No, it's very broad at this time.
Yeah, and I'm also just kind of watching very closely that, like you just mentioned, Taylor, that southern edge of this storm now. We're just kind of seeing a couple more notches, whether that's just inflow or whether that's any more little areas of rotation trying to develop. We've got eyes all over this storm right now. We just may be shifting and popping around for different locations.
Yeah.
Railroad Bed Pike in the Summertown area, tree on a residence, carport still building in the middle of the road.
Whew. That was Obviously, well, if Weather Service determines it's a tornado, we'll figure out what the rating is. But that's a pretty good one for it to do something like that. Doesn't mean it's a EF2 or stronger, but that's probably getting up there at least maybe EF1 type of strength.
And so now I think, honestly, at least for now, we've transitioned this to mainly gusty straight line winds, but you can see something ramp up very quickly, so we'll have to watch this. But gusty straight line winds here possible from, I would say as far north as Lebanon Heights down through Big Beville, Broadview down to Gibsonville, Big Creek, the Campbellsville area, and that's going to be moving across southern and southeastern areas of Murray County into places like Fountain Heights, Bryant Station, Culleoka, Campbell Station, down to the Linville area in Giles County, Olivet, the Brick Church area, and the northern side of Pulaski here over the next 15 minutes or so. Gusty straight line winds likely moving into Etheridge now, and the north side of Lawrenceburg here over the next several minutes as well.
I'll go in just a little bit tighter, and again, like you said, we're still, I think we are definitely kind of getting into more of a damaging wind issue, especially looking at these sky cams and seeing the big shelf cloud with this. And yeah, there is a little bit of rotation, but there's probably a lot more of just a push of wind with this right now, especially with how this is kind of bowing out a little bit. So Gibsonville right now, Yoakley Road, Lynn Creek Road, Fry Branch Road. This is north of or west of Linville, near the Waco community. Columbia Highway, that's going to be Highway 31. It's going to be getting close to you guys here soon. The Rich community, Big Creek, that's right along Campbellsville Pike, Mac Branch Road, Petty Hollow Road.
Max gust at Campbellsville was only 25, but still it's a light show and a half up there.
And you are north of it, so it could be that the strongest wind is going to be a little bit north of where that camera site is located. Had some people on here ask about Linville. Linville, you'll be up next. You are under tornado warning, so yeah, take your tornado precautions. But like Fred said, it looks like we're kind of transitioning more into a damaging wind, just a straight wind push. But some of that wind could be 40, 50, maybe touching 60 at some point. This is a thing where if it doesn't matter if it's 60 mile an hour winds spinning or if it's 60 mile an hour winds coming in one direction. It's 60 mile an hour winds and it can do some damage, regardless of whether it's spinning or not. So that's going to be getting into the Linville area here very soon. I would say probably in the next 5 minutes. I think it's pushed out an outflow boundary a little bit, so you'll get the wind prior to the heavier rain that'll be moving on in. So give that maybe about 5 more minutes for it to move on through. Then you'll have some rain, thunder, and lightning to work with, maybe a little bit of some small hail. We did have a new radar update, and it still looks like kind of more of that shear axis that's kind of showing up. So definitely some just wind that's going to be moving on through, as opposed to it looks like a tornado with this.
Yeah, let's look at it from HTX for just a moment and get more of a toward away. And I was wanting to see let's look at base velocity and see what, I was thinking we may see some higher wind gust in the radials here. So honestly, that looks like that's probably over 50 to 55. Now, that's still several thousand feet, but I don't think we're going to have too much of a time getting that down to the surface with temperatures in the 70s. What you guys got?
We do have an injury report. Tree down on a car at Summertown Baptist. Driver is injured, but he is out, or he or she, whoever it is out of the car. So hopefully it's not anything that's life-threatening, but it looks like it is an injury from this. One of the other things, you see that bright, the stronger winds, but notice how we have a little bit of that darker area right here. So I'm wondering if that is the outflow that it's picking up.
I think so.
So it is getting right into Linville. We are looking right where my cursor is at. That is 4,200 feet. So you take that into account, and the gust front's probably now getting into Linville. It's probably just a little bit ahead of where that is. So this is just now crossed 31, getting into Linville. So Linville, your winds are about to pick up, if they hadn't already.
So Lawrence County has been officially removed from the tornado warning because any rotation is well off to the east. You are still under a severe thunderstorm warning for gusty straight line winds in Lawrence County, but now it's only a tornado warning for southeast Murray and northern Giles at this time. But they are noting that rotation looks a lot broader and they may let the tornado warning expire earlier if this trend continues.
One of the comments in our chat got off the phone with the Shell station in Summertown, and my friend that lives 4 or 5 houses behind the Shell. There's a little bit of damage outside, but they still have power where they're at. But we obviously know there are parts of Summertown that do not have power. There is damage. There has been an injury with someone that was in a car when the tree fell on it. That was at the at Summertown Baptist. But there is damage up there, and obviously, I know it's 2 o'clock in the morning. We're not going to have a lot of people out, but please, if you are not part of the people who have damage out there, don't go out and sightsee. Let people go in there, clean up. Obviously, there's damage. There's at least been one injury. Who's to say that there's some others out there? So stay away from Summertown.
I just got the Summertown camera back.
All right, we'll take a look at that. So that's just kind of a PSA. Just stay away. That goes for
Fourth from the bottom.
fourth from the bottom. There it is down there, right by Frank Ewing. That's just, regardless of whether it's now or in the future, don't go sightseeing with tornado damage or anything. Let the people who are dealing with the damage deal with the damage and just stay away.
It is encouraging that we have so much of the area with power.
Yes.
So that tells me that damage is probably sporadic and isolated, and you're not talking about higher end damage more than likely.
Kind of confined damage.
Yeah.
Well, there's some right here. Excuse me, I can't talk. Let's zoom in to, this is Highway 20, and there's a vehicle that's trying to navigate its way around. It looks like a pretty large downed tree. When their headlights hit it, you could see it a lot better.
Yeah, I saw what you were looking at.
Just kind of glancing around there. Just like Fred said, just kind of sporadic tree damage.
And there is going to be more damage that you cannot see on this camera shot.
Yeah.
Because we know that a metal outbuilding was thrown into the road.
And that's just just west of the camera site by half a mile, maybe half a mile. And so, yeah, because it's dark, you really can't see, but a lot of light right there. That's the school campus. And so at least the lights are on at Summertown High School. And just kind of looking through there, what we're able to see, which again, it's dark, it's raining, not the best camera shot right now because of these conditions, but you know, again, it's very encouraging that there is electricity and things are looking not like a devastation zone, but still, you know, some sporadic damage through there.
Yeah, if this is letting us know that yes, there was damage. Yes, we think it was very likely a tornado, but this is letting us know that it wasn't a big, nasty tornado coming through, pretty much, because we don't see widespread, intense damage. We see most of the community powers back on across the area. If there was a big, nasty tornado that came through, you wouldn't see all this power on right there. So, yeah, we have damage. It's bad enough, but this is letting us know that it's not a lot worse than that.
And just to go off of that, the signature that we had on the radar does not go along with a big, wide tornado. This is probably a small, more thin tornado. Yeah, it could definitely pack a bit of a punch, especially if it's throwing an metal outbuilding out into the road. That's going to have a decent amount of wind with it, but it's not going to be something that's like, you know, a half a mile wide. We're only talking about something that might have been, you know, maybe 100, 200 yards wide.
I've got a couple more reports to add to this real quick. Still more damage reports, trees and lines down Buffalo Road and Bowie Road. And then we've got a report of trees blocking both lanes of travel on Buffalo Road at Bowie Road as well. So a couple of different tree reports there. and another report of lines down across Highway 20, again, right in the area of where this is. And looks like we lost the feed again to Summertown.
All right, so we have new severe thunderstorm warnings on the board till 3 o'clock. This is for central areas of Marshall County, as well as southern Marshall County, northeast Giles County, and far southeastern areas of Murray County, Tennessee. This does go over here in the Bedford County outside of our viewing area as well. But this is a new severe thunderstorm warning here for central southern Marshall, northeast Giles, southeastern Murray until 3 o'clock for this complex of thunderstorms that has had a history of damage and is likely still producing at least sporadic straight line wind damage moving into the Campbellsville area, now Culleoka, and that's headed toward places like Lewisburg, Farmington, and the Cornersville areas here over the next 15 to maybe 20 minutes. Damaging straight line winds and they're saying 70 miles an hour straight line winds possible.
Are they?
With these, with this bow echo here. So I would definitely say be inside away from windows, even though it's straight line wind damage. Not a bad idea to go through your tornado safety plan. Culleoka, Campbell Station, Linville. These areas have already been under tornado warning, but this is starting to get into wind damage that's strong enough for you to stay in your tornado safe place. And now I would say places like Estella, Cornersville, Lewisburg, Laws Hill, Farmington, over to Petersburg. Go ahead and take your tornado precautions because it's 70 mile per hour straight line winds possible with these storms. And we have a history of damage, structural damage, trees and power lines with this.
And that what I picture, Corey, there was about 60 to 65 roughly. And that was right at 4,000 feet.
I've got your Linville camera looking straight into that area.
Okay.
And I will say real quick before we flip to it, that's a very sharp reflectivity gradient.
Yep.
So there's going to be some damaging winds with that for sure.
Yep. All right, while y'all are looking at cameras, I'm going to grab a drink right fast. I shall be back.
So this is going to be the Linville camera, and this is going to be pointed
Due north, overlooking the Richland High School football stadium.
I see we don't have any.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we don't have any observation there, but.
And then I'm running into the pole that it's mounted on right there. But still kind of shifting back a little bit, kind of running into the roof line too. Nothing is, which the winds have already pretty much subsided, at least at that view. There's really not a lot going on in terms of, this particular shot from the Linville High School, from Richland High School.
I'll tell you one thing: there's not someone that's down mowing the grass.
Yeah, this time.
Because this was the infamous camera where I'm looking at it. And there was a dude that was mowing the field while there was a tornado warning there. I can tell you that there's nobody on the field there, so at least we have that going on. But it looks like the worst of the wind is to the east of Linville now. And I mentioned that very strong or very tight reflectivity gradient. This is what I'm talking about, where you go from the greens to almost immediately the reds. So whenever you have a very tight reflectivity gradient like that, that is usually indicative of some very significant wind coming in with that. That usually ends up becoming a very sharp gradient in the reflectivity. And when you look at the velocity with that goes along with it. You have all those bright greens that are back behind it. So there's going to be some strong wind getting up towards Blue Creek, Oddfellows Hall, probably close to Brick Church, and then eventually getting towards I-65 with the exit that takes you up to Cornersville. That's the 31 alternate exit right there on 65, right as you get into Marshall County, right along that county line. So this is gonna be. I think, Fred, this is gonna be diving in from the northwest. I don't think this is kind of going more east. I think it's kind of diving in from the northwest.
Yeah, it appears to be so, and I think honestly that's probably a signature. The gusty straight line wind threat increasing, and given what we've already had, I certainly agree with that 70 mile per hour flag that they put on the warning polygon. And then we have other thunderstorms back to the west in the Lawrence County that still have severe thunderstorm warnings with those as well. Strong thunderstorms out here near the Henryville area center, down to Ovilla and Deerfield. These will be moving into Etheridge and Lawrenceburg and Alexander Springs soon. They're moving through Summertown still. Still severe thunderstorm warnings here for gusty straight line winds. And if we zoom out farther and look at radar network or something like that,
Yeah,
we
it's been
have
a while
our
since
main
we've-
line to the northwest.
It's been a while since we've
Yeah, I'll let you look at that for a moment.
kind of done a reset. There's that line. There's that main line that's going to be moving on through, and we'll watch and see what happens with that. Obviously, it seems like we should have a little bit of some stable air in place with all the rain and storm activity that's happened well ahead of that main line that's coming in from the west. But who knows? It could probably still pack a punch. And I would honestly think, Fred, that with the way that things are going right now, they're blanketing those with severe thunderstorm warnings. It's probably going to be severe warned.
At least for a little bit longer.
little bit, yeah.
Now that may change because there are a couple things you do have to consider here. Is that they're stronger now because they're moving in the areas that didn't get the original thunderstorms, so they haven't quite reached that rain cool area yet. They're just about to start doing that over the next 30 to 45 minutes. And we have seen on our sky cams where we've had these thunderstorms come through so far that we have gotten temperatures down to the low to mid 60s. So with these initial thunderstorms, we have been working over the atmosphere. It's just a question of if the dynamics in the wind shear overcome that with the line. And we're probably not going to know that for another 30, 45, 60 minutes or so, because the main line of storms not necessarily working into the heart of where the original storms moved through, except for down here, Parsons Henderson. Look, they're losing their polygons now as they start to get into the area that originally had those earlier thunderstorms. So we'll see. Still got the tornado watch till 5 o'clock, so we can't let our guard down.
At least I'm not seeing anything that's going to stand out as tornadic right now. Everything looks pretty straight line wind. And even that hook that I was watching back here towards the Deerfield area, that's gone now.
Yeah. I think there's about to be some big wind coming to places like Laws Hill and Farmington and Lewisburg and Cornersville here in the next several minutes. The 31A corridor, that's about to be some big wind coming in.
And I know that's going to say 30. I'm going to adjust that. It's still 50, right?
50 to 55, yeah.
All right. And that's going to go too far, so I'm going to drop it down to 30 minutes.
All right. So for the next half hour here, Cornersville, big wind moving in at 220, Lewisburg 220, Farmington 223, Estella 227, Brown Shop 233, Bedford 233, Petersburg 237, Shelbyville 240, and Mount Herman 244. Some of those communities leak over into Bedford County. And outside of the viewing area, our main focus with the warning is northeastern Giles, central and southern Marshall County. And then we have the other thunderstorms here back in the southern areas of Murray County, from Mount Pleasant, Sandy Hook down to the Etheridge and Deerfield areas. Those could be producing some intense wind as well.
I'm going to do the same thing, bump it down to 30-minute window.
Okay.
And then there's 50.
So with the second round of thunderstorms here, you're talking about Etheridge at 220 the next couple minutes, Jonestown 220, Broadview 221, Bigbyville at 221, Gibsonville at 225, Big Creek at 225, Liberty Hill 226, Pleasant Valley 227, Campbellsville 229, Culleoka 229, Campbell Station 230, Bryant Station 234, Linville 234, Mooresville 235, and Olivet at 239. Damaging straight line winds of 60 plus miles per hour possible in those areas.
Those actually have some better reflectivity areas, so I wouldn't be shocked if there's
Some P to dime size hail, something
P to
like
dime
that.
size hail. With that second batch as opposed to the first one. The first one, yeah, there's still some spots in there, but there's a lot more back here towards Sandy Hook, Summertown, Alexander Springs. I will say this, obviously, since we have damage over there in Summertown, you've got this batch, so obviously you're not going to want to be out picking things up right now. You have a little bit of a window until the other batch comes through, probably about an hour or so. So let this pass through, and if you do want to go out assess any damage that you have at your place, or try to pick some stuff up if you're able to. You probably got about an hour or so before that other area comes through.
Continuing to get more down tree reports. This is along Old Highway 43 near Dukes Park, or the northern edge of that, where we tracked that couplet through. And then we also have reports of trees down along Dukes Park Road and Stevenson Road, and that's in extreme northeast Lawrence County.
There's a time of arrival right there with that second batch, so a little bit less than an hour, right around 2:52, so between 2:50 and 3 o'clock. That's going to be when that next batch comes through, so probably about a 45-minute window before that other batch comes through. If you do have damage in Summertown and want to quickly go outside and try to assess it, or try to pick some things up, you got roughly about 40 to 45 minutes until that other batch moves through.
And I will say that it's starting to look more and more like that final line may not have much in the way of severe activity with it as it comes in.
Yeah.
It's not looking as organized. We'll have to watch it still, but it's not looking as organized. It looks like this lead batch here may be the main show in terms of damage across the area.
And obviously, we don't want to forget about you guys in North Alabama. There's spotty thunderstorm activity. The best activity is over here towards Scottsboro, between Scottsboro and up there towards South Pittsburgh and Bridgeport. That's out of a viewing area, but that's kind of the best batch. But you've got these other little cells probably sounding a little loud outside towards Triana, right on top of the Huntsville International Airport. There's a heavy cell there. Over here towards Harvest, Sardis Springs, a little bit of a cell there, no lightning with it, but looks like my house is going to get some beneficial rainfall here very shortly. A little bit of some lightning near Hazel Green and Park City there in southern Lincoln County. And outside of that, that's pretty much it. A little bit of some thunderstorm activity down here towards Hartsville and Falkville, southern part of Morgan County, but those are all non-severe. So no severe warnings for northern Alabama, but there are some thunderstorms that are developing. All the severe stuff right now is happening here across southern Tennessee, where we still have 2 severe thunderstorm warning polygons in effect for Murray County, northern Lawrence, northern and northwestern Giles. And then the other polygon here where the brunt of the storm's almost firmly into Marshall County right now.
Yep, so that's what we're watching right now, the tornadic circulation, of course. Hold on. Let me make sure about just a second.
Think your batteries are
I
starting
just
to
need
get
to
low?
make sure I'm on. I just need to make sure I switched it on. Because when I cough, I try to switch it off so I'm not in everyone's ear with that. Gusty straight line winds moving into Marshall County, moving into Cornersville and Lewisburg and Farmington, honestly, as we speak. No signs of any tight low-level rotation. Just some turbulence in there, mainly associated with the rear inflow jet here behind the line is what it looks like that is. Yeah, and that's your rear inflow jet. So likely some damaging wind between Cornersville and Lewisburg on 31A, and that will work down here on the 431 corridor from Lewisburg to Petersburg. I think that's the main area of damaging straight line winds. And you can see the gust front here gusting out, getting down into the north side of Pulaski. Maybe some 30 to 40 mile per hour winds moving into the north side of Pulaski now from these thunderstorms.
You even see that a little bit on the reflectivity,
Yep.
and that it's about 3,000 feet, and for it to start to pick up at the outflow that kind of high off the ground, yeah, I'm kind of with you, Fred. I think that's probably going to have some decent gusty winds with it. It might not be severe, but it's probably got some good 30 to 40 mile an hour winds with it. If it's seen the gust front that at about 3,500 feet.
All right, so we have a new severe thunderstorm warning on the board that includes Murray County. This is for the incoming final line. It sounds like it clips Murray County. And yeah, it's for storms that will mainly stay north of the viewing area, but a new severe thunderstorm warning does clip northern Murray County, including places like Santa Fe over to Spring Hill, but it's mainly that line here that is mainly north of Centerville and Dixon, and that's moving off to the east at about 50 miles an hour. That's mainly going to be north of the viewing area, but coming across Murray County, there is the potential for a damaging straight line wind with that. Let me get the information on that warning.
It's until 3:15.
Okay. Now we'll zoom in a little tighter and get some of the specific communities in Murray County. We're talking about the Bethel area, the Theta area, Jameson, Spring Hill, the north side of Santa Fe, and then back up here toward the Natchez Trace Parkway north of Santa Fe. That's your severe thunderstorm warning, but the majority of that line segment going to stay north of Murray County. It's going to clip the county is what that is, but there could be some wind gusts over 60 miles an hour as that moves in.
Yeah, that kind of big Boeing area kind of looks like it's pointed more towards the Nashville metro and down to Franklin as it would be down towards to Murray County.
Yep. But like you said a little bit ago, this may be one of those things where they just issue large warning polygons with it.
Yeah, and especially with everything that's happened, it kind of feels like if it looks suspicious, they're probably going to pop a warning on it.
Yep.
Kind of just out of the course of least regret. Which I don't blame them. The way that the night's gone, you know, it's just one of those things where, all right, well, we've already had stuff happen. Let's go ahead and just flag them.
Yep. And I will say that it's a lot easier to overcome lower instability when you have strong wind shear. A lot of these storm systems we've had all the way back to the fall really haven't had a lot of high wind shear. This is not the case with this one. The wind shear with this, the wind energy in the atmosphere early this morning is sky high with this. So it's easy to overcome limited instability, and these haven't necessarily had limited instability. It's been up in the 70s overnight with dew points well up into the mid to upper 60s. So in addition to the wind shear, they've had the juice and the moisture and the instability to work with too. But strong thunderstorms in two clusters here moving through the heart of Marshall County, Tennessee now, and then another one stretching from the south side of Columbia back into the northern parts of Lawrence County, Tennessee, moving into northern Giles. Both of these have the potential for damaging straight line winds over 60 miles an hour, but not seeing any tornadic rotations at this time.
I got some people asking if this is it. On the screen, what you see right here, this is batch number 1, technically. So this is not it for Lawrence County, Giles County, Marshall County, where you actually have active warnings right now. This is not it. Now, does that mean the other line that comes through, is it going to be severe? We don't know yet. But what I can tell you is that's not the last batch. Zooming things out, the one that we just talked about with the warning for Murray County, this is the last batch, at least for this morning. Now, yes, we will watch and see what happens later this afternoon. There's some iffiness in the model guidance on whether or not we're going to see another round of severe weather for the afternoon and evening. There's a good chance that it might end up being south of us. So fingers crossed that's the case. But just for tonight, right now, the batch across Lewisburg, Lawrence County, north of Pulaski, right now, that's batch 1. The final stuff is going to be that stuff that you see in Dixon, Tennessee, getting towards Centerville and into the Nashville metro area, back towards Parsons, Tennessee as well. I'll flip on the radar network. This is that last batch that you see all lined up, even back here towards Memphis. This is the last batch for the morning, and then we'll see what happens as we progress through this afternoon and into the evening hours. Matter of fact, Kelly, I know you've been doing the forecasts. What stuff looking model guidance-wise for this afternoon and evening? Is it still kind of south of us or what?
Yeah, it's still just kind of looking iffy. I think the better energy and ingredients are going to end up being where the atmosphere is not worked over already from all of this. Still something worth watching. There has been, I believe, little to no change in the SPC's outlook for today.
Okay.
At least so far.
So kind of what we were suspecting earlier, Fred, with like it could be that this stuff kind of gets in here, messes things up for the afternoon and evening potentially, which would be good.
Yep. Would certainly be good. And I will say I was peeking at the 5Z run of the HER, and it was showing that the main threat was going to be south for the evening as well.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. 6Z is running.
Here's some thunder and lightning. I will say, I know this is well out of our viewing area, but for anybody who knows people up here north of Nashville, they just popped a tornado warning north of Goodlettsville. There's a nice little hook right there with that one. That's a good little couplet.
Yee.
So anybody who knows some folks up here north of Nashville, getting closer to Hendersonville, they're under a tornado warning now, so give them a heads up. That is a good little couplet that's embedded in that line, so there could be a tornado that tries to develop
Take
out
a look
of
at the
that.
CC on that real quick.
That looks noisy.
It's not in the right place.
It's not in the right place, but I wouldn't be shocked. That's a good little coupler there. I wouldn't be shocked if it does produce a tornado. So again, that's north of Nashville for anybody who has some family down there. So Greenbrier, Goodlettsville, Lakewood, right close where the radar site's at, by the way, close to Hendersonville.
I'm looking at the new 6Z her run here, and for the afternoon and evening stuff, it's mainly Highway 278 and south with the complex as well.
Okay.
Some heavy rain here and some embedded thunder, but severe threat looks like Highway 278 and south. We'll see if that's what happens. I think one of the main reasons why we're shifting toward that idea is we didn't have the early supercells during the early evening come through and rob this stuff from developing. So now that this stuff is developing, it's going to sweep on through the area this morning and kind of work over the atmosphere so the afternoon stuff can't recover. That's what it's looking like based on the data we see right now.
I'm fine with that.
Yep.
That means that I don't have to come back in here tomorrow afternoon and evening.
You mean today afternoon?
Yes, today afternoon, as it is 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, shoot. It felt like 4:30 for a
It's
minute.
2:30 in the morning. And this episode of Severe Weather is brought to you by the great taste of Pepsi. I know that Kelly behind me is not a big fan of that.
No.
You do have a Coca-Cola in the fridge for you,
I've
by
got
the
a
way, if you need
Coca-Cola.
it.
That's all I need.
That's all you need. But I've been running on caffeine, Pepsi, and some Waffle House.
And Pepsi Company, we look forward to seeing that check.
You can make it out to Taylor Plot and let me fill in the amount, please. Just give me a blank check.
You know, the Pepsi logo would look really good on a brand new C-band radar, so. Pepsi distributors in the area, please call me. We've got great advertising opportunities for you, or Coca-Cola, or Sundrop. It's all the same.
Sundrop's pretty good.
You know, we're losing the structure here.
We are.
And they've let the western polygon expire. The eastern one, we're losing the structure, so it looks like the complex here losing its intensity. I'll say that they're not likely going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for northern Lincoln County based on how this looks. I certainly wouldn't. And it looks like we have an outflow boundary running out ahead of this.
The outflow's further ahead now.
Yeah. And we're losing structure on that bow echo. So I think we're seeing some significant weakening with that, which is certainly good news as that comes across the southern areas of Marshall County. Doesn't mean there's not strong winds moving in, but it looks less intense than what it has been.
Yeah, I would say, especially with that outflow well ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, for the longest time, it was right there with it. So you were able to get those stronger winds down. But, I would think that the chances for seeing 60 to 70 are now probably turned into more 30 and 40.
Yep.
Maybe up to 50. Still a lot of loud storms out there. I know a lot of people are probably going to be wondering, hey, it's really loud outside and everything. But just because it's loud doesn't mean it's severe. Severe is not based on loudness.
Yep.
But definitely a lot of electrical storms, and even with the last batch moving through, there's still going to be a lot of lightning. So there's still the chance for some power outages, but there's still a lot of lightning, a lot of energy for these storms to work off of. It's just like what Fred was mentioning, when we have the instability that's going to be reduced. Well, that's reducing the instability down at the surface, but the instability, there's still a good amount of instability aloft, and with that, you're going to still get the thunder and lightning and everything with the storms. So just because we're losing instability doesn't mean that the thunder and lightning goes away. No, you're still going to have a lot of thunder and lightning. There's still a ton of thunder and lightning with that last batch that's continuing to move on through, as you see on the screen there, kind of going back towards the Memphis area. So there's still elevated instability. That's to keep these storms going, but we're losing the surface-based instability, which makes things become more severe.
And while you have this radar view here, I will tell you, Taylor, that we've lost a lot of just the elevated instability too across Middle Tennessee and even North Alabama, where we haven't had much now, because I think just overall from where thunderstorms try to go earlier in that mid-level environment coming over, we've kind of already worked lapse rates.
What's the ML Cape now? Is it less?
500 to 1,000 even down here where we haven't had storms
I was
yet.
wondering if it was even
Yeah.
less than 500.
Yeah, and you have to go back here in the southwest Tennessee and Arkansas to get over 1,500. So we are pinching off that instability axis,
Yeah.
even the elevated instability.
And basically, what that number that he was talking about, when you have the situation that's set up like this, usually in the springtime, you want those instability values, what we call the ML Cape, that's mixed layer, that's taking a look at stuff that's kind of up further into the atmosphere. Anytime you get those numbers less than 1,000, you start kind of losing some of that better fuel and such. You really want those numbers to be 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. Some of the stuff, obviously we had the cap that was in place off to the west. Some of that stuff was like 3,000, 3,500
Yep.
worth of Cape. So that's some really, really ripe fuel for storms. So anytime you start getting those numbers down below 1,000, you can still get some storms, and they could be strong and severe, but in a situation like this where it was all the way up towards 2,000, now it's down below 1,000, you're really starting to lose that fuel, which is good.
Yeah, and you're not really going to hold on to a big severe weather threat when you know that Cape is getting lower like that and you don't have a lot of dynamic lift. If you had a much stronger trough of low pressure coming in, if the dynamics that they had over Missouri and Illinois earlier were pointed right here, it would be a much different circumstance. Even with just 500 Cape,
Yeah.
you could still have large tornadoes with that.
Exactly.
You don't have all the ingredients to balance each other out is what it is. So yeah, we're losing the structure here with these little bands of thunderstorms. I would honestly say this one moving through Marshall County now probably step down below severe limits at this point.
I think so. This is still looking at high top, so this is going to give you your best perspective, and those velocities have really started to come down.
Yeah.
I'm going to just guess that these are probably 40-ish to 50. Yeah. Mostly in the 40s.
And that's back behind that outflow boundary too. That
Yep.
outflow boundary is just about completely cleared Marshall County now.
It's right here. It's getting into Petersburg. So this is going to be a thing where Petersburg right now, it's actually probably past Petersburg because you're still looking a little bit high in the atmosphere. This is about 2,300 feet. So it's probably, I would say the outflow boundary is probably over here now at this point. So it's
Yeah.
probably through Petersburg, getting into Boones Hill. You're probably going to see some gusts around 30-ish miles an hour. And then you'll end up getting the heavier rain that starts to come in behind it, maybe some small hail with it as well. But any of the higher winds, that 50 that you saw that I pixel queried, that's above the ground. That's not going to make it. By the time it makes it down to the ground, it's probably going to be about 30.
By the way, that tornado warning in Nashville, they've gone observed.
Let's go back up
Yeah,
there and
they
look at
have
that
it.
real
They've
quick.
mentioned the debris signature with. I don't know if it's still there, but
I did see someone was commenting and talking about it. Let's take a look. So again, this is up in Nashville. I think it's this one up here. Yeah, right here. Right near Baker's.
Yeah.
no, that's quite well out of the viewing area. This is just while we have things calming down locally for the moment, we're just taking a quick look up there. But
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, that's exactly where it is. So this is north of Goodlettsville. So this is going to go north of Hendersonville. Getting close to Gallatin if it makes it. But yeah, that's definitely a CC drop. There's a tornado that's up there just southeast of Greenbrier.
Nashville has expired or canceled the severe for Murray and northeastern Giles.
Okay. Yep, I see that. So it's now firmly just Marshall and
Bedford.
Bedford County. Yep.
And then that other one that clips northern Murray, but I still think the worst of that's going to go north.
I think
there's
so, too.
heavy rain and some gusty winds coming over northern Murray, but and that looks like that's
It's probably outflow too.
yeah.
Yep, it is. It's
Yep.
out ahead of it.
So I would say probably 30, 40 mile per hour wind gust with that coming through northern Murray.
Yeah. Getting some more people asking if they can go to sleep. Again, the way that it looks right now, like what Fred was talking about, that stuff looks like it's pretty outflow dominant now. Doesn't mean it can't become briefly severe again, but if you have ways to get warnings, NOAA weather radio, your phone, weather app on your phone, stuff like that, you can go to sleep. There should be no worry. You will be able to wake up with the alarm. I know that there's some people out there that are some very solid, deep sleepers. I can be one of them. I know that I have slept through very loud thunderstorms before, but I can tell you when that NOAA weather radio goes off next to me, it will wake me up, even if I'm in a very deep sleep. So you should have no worry in the world going to sleep with the NOAA weather radio on, and it will alert you. I will say, based on the stuff that we're watching, that Fred and us were just talking about, instability starting to drop, these storms aren't looking as robust as they were earlier. I really don't see, and Fred, correct me if I'm wrong, I really don't see that this is going to end up being a pretty potent severe weather chance overnight. So if people want to go to bed, I think it's pretty okay for them to go to bed as long as they have a way to get a warning just in case something happens.
Because the threat's not over, but I think, honestly, we're gradually settling down now.
Go to Memphis.
Switch to Memphis and then go back over to.
Oh yeah, look at that.
This whole complex is outflow dominant now. So, yeah, I think we are significantly settling down. We just can't completely ignore it here for the next little bit, is what it is.
The only thing that we have to watch for is, I mentioned this earlier, notice how the outflow is kind of getting connected with these cells. Those are the only areas that we would need to watch for across our neck of the woods, because they would end up, the storm would be latched to unstable air with the boundary if it stays with it.
Yeah, no, I will say the deeper we go on, though, the less likely that's to happen.
Yep.
Because you're going to keep pushing that boundary farther and farther out.
It's going to keep getting that momentum to want to go out ahead.
And look how far out ahead it is now.
Yep. So that stuff over here towards Millington, yeah, it's technically up with the outflow, but yeah, give it some time, and that outflow is going to be well ahead of it. At some point, the storms themselves can't keep up.
Yep. So I think, honestly, we are at a place where things are settling down at this point. I don't think these storms here in Marshall County are up to severe criteria any longer. And I'm pretty sure that's not any more than 30 or 40 mile per hour winds coming into northern parts of Murray County at this time. So with that being the case and things more or less behaving for now, I think we're getting into a place where...
That's well out ahead of the stuff.
Yeah. So I think we're getting into a place now where, honestly, we are probably safe to step away from live coverage and we can watch things behind the scenes. That's what we're going to do. We still have a tornado watch over southern Middle Tennessee until 5 o'clock this morning. Storms are still ongoing. We will have to watch things, but I think storms are settling down at the moment to where we're at a safe place to where we can step away from severe weather coverage live. Tornado watch until 5 o'clock this morning for southern Middle Tennessee down in the Tishomingo County, Mississippi. They removed the tornado watch for northwest Alabama because it's taking so long to get storms there. Atmosphere is stabilizing there, and it looks like the storms will be much weaker by the time they get there. So we'll continue to watch things this morning. Should additional warnings be issued, we'll be back live as necessary. Otherwise, with things settling down now and not looking dangerous at the moment, we're going to step away from live coverage. For Taylor Plott, Ben Luna, and Kelly Rosson, I'm Fred Gossage, live from the Tennessee Valley Weather Center. Stay with Tennessee Valley Weather. We'll keep you advised.
You're watching the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.